in the conference through a private social network that can only be accessed by registered attendees, creating a lasting relationship beyond your event. Exchanging contacts has never been easier. Chokoa allows attendees to access contact information of other attendees and exhibitors by scanning QR codes on badges and exhibition booths. Access speakers' profiles. Share your experiences on social media. Give your sponsors and exhibitors real value through B2B, B2C, C2C. Sponsored ads, adding more dollars into your pockets. Search and brand awareness. Our apps are paired with a robust admin system, including functionality for dynamic content changes, push messages, and graphic updates, giving you control over what attendees see before, during, and after the event. This is the true way of keeping your audience engaged. Digital, powering your event. How do you ensure that your participants are kept updated, networked, and feel your event at all times? Easy answer. Use what they carry at all times to keep them engaged. Mobile apps have grown to be the new important attribute of attendee engagement in events. That's why Digital Mobile Solution is designed to engage your attendees and enhance the overall experience. We understand that different events have different needs. That's why we help you create a customized mobile app that suits your event needs. Life is precious, live it stress-free. Delegates now have access to hotel booking, event program, maps, and floor plan, giving you much time to address more pressing issues. With our instantaneous communication feature, you can now keep everyone in the know. Broadcast important information, alerts, and reminders to all attendees without interrupting ongoing sessions. Push notifications. Boost attendee networking by allowing them to interact and network in the conference through a private social network that can only be accessed by registered attendees, creating a lasting relationship beyond your event. Exchanging contacts has never been easier. Chokoa allows attendees to access contact information of other attendees and exhibitors by scanning QR codes on badges and exhibition booths. Access speakers' profiles. Share your experiences on social media. Give your sponsors and exhibitors real value through B2B, B2C, C2C. Sponsored ads, adding more dollars into your pockets. Search and brand awareness. Our apps are paired with a robust admin system, including functionality for dynamic content changes, push messages, and graphic updates, giving you control over what attendees see before, during, and after the event. This is the true way of keeping your audience engaged. Digital, powering your event. How do you ensure that your participants are kept updated, networked, and feel your event at all times? Easy answer. Use what they carry at all times to keep them engaged. Mobile apps have grown to be the new important attribute of attendee engagement in events. That's why Digital Mobile Solution is designed to engage your attendees and enhance the overall experience. We understand that different events have different needs. That's why we help you create a customized mobile app that suits your event needs. Life is precious, live it stress-free. Delegates now have access to hotel booking, event program, maps, and floor plan, giving you much time to address more pressing issues. With our instantaneous communication feature, you can now keep everyone in the know. Broadcast important information, alerts, and reminders to all attendees without interrupting ongoing sessions. Push notifications. Boost attendee networking by allowing them to interact and network in the conference through a private social network that can only be accessed by registered attendees, creating a lasting relationship beyond your event. Exchanging contacts has never been easier. Chokoa allows attendees to access contact information of other attendees and exhibitors by scanning QR codes on badges and exhibition booths. Access speakers' profiles. Share your experiences on social media. Give your sponsors and exhibitors real value through B2B, B2C, C2C. Sponsored ads adding more dollars into your pockets. Search and brand awareness. Our apps are paired with a robust admin system, including functionality for dynamic content changes, push messages, and graphic updates, giving you control over what attendees see before, during, and after the event. This is the true way of keeping your audience engaged.
Digital, powering your event.
How do you ensure that your participants are kept updated, networked, and view your event at all times? Easy answer. Use what they carry at all times to keep them engaged. Mobile apps have grown to be the new important attribute of attendee engagement in events. That's why Digital Mobile Solution is designed to engage your attendees and enhance the overall experience. We understand that different events have different needs. That's why we help you create a customized mobile app that suits your event needs. Life is precious, live it stress-free. Delegates now have access to hotel booking, event program, maps, and floor plan, giving you much time to address more pressing issues. With our instantaneous communication feature, you can now keep everyone in the know. Broadcast important information, alerts, and reminders to all attendees without interrupting ongoing sessions. Push notifications. Boost attendee networking by allowing them to interact and network in the conference through a private social network that can only be accessed by registered attendees, creating a lasting relationship.
No, let's say most of the time. On the day of the event, managing queues may not be easy. One agitated participant whose details were not properly captured may dampen the whole mood of the event and more often than not lead to more agitation amongst other participants. Digital Event Solutions helps you to get it right. By providing all the tools to manage your registration on site, you can now register visitors to events using fast methods such as SMS, manage handled resources, access control, print badges with security features. Our product is fully synchronized to work both online and offline. This brings flexibility of registration options, enabling multiple registration locations. Digital, powering your event. People can at times become impatient. No, let's say most of the time. On the day of the event, managing queues may not be easy. One agitated participant whose details were not properly captured may dampen the whole mood of the event and more often than not lead to more agitation amongst other participants. Digital Event Solutions helps you to get it right. By providing all the tools to manage your registration on site, you can now register visitors to events using fast methods such as SMS, manage handled resources, access control, print badges with security features. Our product is fully synchronized to work both online and offline. This brings flexibility of registration options, enabling multiple registration locations. Digital, powering your event. People can at times become impatient. No, let's say most of the time. On the day of the event, managing queues may not be easy. One agitated participant whose details were not properly captured may dampen the whole mood of the event and more often than not lead to more agitation amongst other participants. Digital Event Solutions helps you to get it right. By providing all the tools to manage your registration on site, you can now register visitors to events using fast methods such as SMS, manage handled resources, access control, print badges with security features. Our product is fully synchronized to work both online and offline. This brings flexibility of registration options, enabling multiple registration locations. Digital, powering your event. People can at times become impatient. No, let's say most of the time. On the day of the event, managing queues may not be easy. One agitated participant whose details were not properly captured may dampen the whole mood of the event and more often than not lead to more agitation amongst other participants. Digital Event Solutions helps you to get it right. By providing all the tools to manage your registration on site, you can now register visitors to events using fast methods such as SMS, manage handled resources, access control, print badges with security features. Our product is fully synchronized to work both online and offline. This brings flexibility of registration options, enabling multiple registration locations. Digital, powering your event. People can at times become impatient. No, let's say most of the time. On the day of the event, managing queues may not be easy. One agitated participant whose details were not properly captured may dampen the whole mood of the event and more often than not lead to more agitation amongst other participants. Digital Event Solutions helps you to get it right. By providing all the tools to manage your registration on site, you can now register visitors to events using fast methods such as SMS, manage handled resources, access control, print badges with security features. Our product is fully synchronized to work both online and offline. This brings flexibility of registration options, enabling multiple registration locations. Digital, powering your event. People can at times become impatient. No, let's say most of the time. On the day of the event, managing queues may not be easy. One agitated participant whose details were not properly captured may dampen the whole mood of the event and more often than not lead to more agitation amongst other participants. Digital Event Solutions helps you to get it right. By providing all the tools to manage your registration on site, you can now register visitors to events using fast methods such as SMS, manage handled resources, access control, print badges with security features. Our product is fully synchronized to work both online and offline. This brings flexibility of registration options, enabling multiple registration locations. Digital, powering your event. People can at times become impatient. No, let's say most of the time. On the day of the event, managing queues may not be easy. One agitated participant whose details were not properly captured may dampen the whole mood of the event and more often than not lead to more agitation amongst other participants. Digital Event Solutions helps you to get it right. By providing all the tools to manage your registration on site, you can now register visitors to events using fast methods such as SMS, manage handle resources, access control, print badges with security features. Our product is fully synchronized to work both online and offline. This brings flexibility of registration options, enabling multiple registration locations. Digital, powering your event. People can at times become impatient. No, let's say most of the time. On the day of the event, managing queues may not be easy. One agitated participant whose details were not properly captured may dampen the whole mood of the event and more often than not lead to more agitation amongst other participants. Digital Event Solutions helps you to get it right. By providing all the tools to manage your registration on site, you can now register visitors to events using fast methods such as SMS, manage handle resources, access control, print badges with security features. Our product is fully synchronized to work both online and offline. This brings flexibility of registration options, enabling multiple registration locations. Digital, powering your event. People can at times become impatient. No, let's say most of the time. On the day of the event, managing queues may not be easy. One agitated participant whose details were not properly captured may dampen the whole mood of the event and more often than not lead to more agitation amongst other participants. Digital Event Solutions helps you to get it right. By providing all the tools to manage your registration on site, you can now register visitors to events using fast methods such as SMS, manage handle resources, access control, print badges with security features. Our product is fully synchronized to work both online and offline. This brings flexibility of registration options, enabling multiple registration locations. Digital, powering your event. People can at times become impatient. No, let's say most of the time. On the day of the event, managing queues may not be easy. One agitated participant whose details were not properly captured may dampen the whole mood of the event and more often than not lead to more agitation amongst other participants. Digital Event Solutions helps you to get it right. By providing all the tools to manage your registration on site, you can now register visitors to events using fast methods such as SMS, manage handle resources, access control, print badges with security features. Our product is fully synchronized to work both online and offline. This brings flexibility of registration options, enabling multiple registration locations. Digital, powering your event. People can at times become impatient. No, let's say most of the time. On the day of the event, managing queues may not be easy. One agitated participant whose details were not properly captured may dampen the whole mood of the event and more often than not lead to more agitation amongst other participants. Digital Event Solutions helps you to get it right. By providing all the tools to manage your registration on site, you can now register visitors to events using fast methods such as SMS, manage handle resources, access control, print badges with security features. Our product is fully synchronized to work both online and offline. This brings flexibility of registration options, enabling multiple registration locations. Digital, powering your event. People can at times become impatient. No, let's say most of the time. On the day of the event, managing queues may not be easy. One agitated participant whose details were not properly captured may dampen the whole mood of the event and more often than not lead to more agitation amongst other participants. Digital Event Solutions helps you to get it right. By providing all the tools to manage your registration on site, you can now register visitors to events using fast methods such as SMS, manage handle resources, access control, print badges with security features. Our product is fully synchronized to work both online and offline. This brings flexibility of registration options, enabling multiple registration locations. Digital, powering your event. People can at times become impatient. No, let's say most of the time. On the day of the event, managing queues may not be easy. One agitated participant whose details were not properly captured may dampen the whole mood of the event and more often than not lead to more agitation amongst other participants. Digital Event Solutions helps you to get it right. By providing all the tools to manage your registration on site, you can now register visitors to events using fast methods such as SMS, manage handle resources, access control, print badges with security features. Our product is fully synchronized to work both online and offline. This brings flexibility of registration options, enabling multiple registration locations. Digital, powering your event. People can at times become impatient. No, let's say most of the time. On the day of the event, managing queues may not be easy. One agitated participant whose details were not properly captured may dampen the whole mood of the event and more often than not lead to more agitation amongst other participants. Digital Event Solutions helps you to get it right. By providing all the tools to manage your registration on site, you can now register visitors to events using fast methods such as SMS, manage handle resources, access control, print badges with security features. Our product is fully synchronized to work both online and offline. This brings flexibility of registration options, enabling multiple registration locations. Digital, powering your event. People can at times become impatient. No, let's say most of the time. On the day of the event, managing queues may not be easy. One agitated participant whose details were not properly captured may dampen the whole mood of the event and more often than not lead to more agitation amongst other participants. Digital Event Solutions helps you to get it right. By providing all the tools to manage your registration on site, you can now register visitors to events using fast methods such as SMS, manage handle resources, access control, print badges with security features. Our product is fully synchronized to work both online and offline. This brings flexibility of registration options, enabling multiple registration locations. Digital.
How do you ensure that your participants are kept updated, networked, and view your event at all times? Easy answer. Use what they carry at all times to keep them engaged. Mobile apps have grown to be the new important attribute of attendee engagement in events. That's why Digital Mobile Solution is designed to engage your attendees and enhance the overall experience. We understand that different events have different needs. That's why we help you create a customized mobile app that suits your event needs. Life is precious, live it stress-free. Delegates now have access to hotel booking, event program, maps, and floor plan, giving you much time to address more pressing issues. With our instantaneous communication feature, you can now keep everyone in the know. Broadcast important information, alerts, and reminders to all attendees without interrupting ongoing sessions. Push notifications. Boost attendee networking by allowing them to interact and network in the conference through a private social network that can only be accessed by registered attendees, creating a lasting relationship beyond your event. Exchanging contacts has never been easier. Chokoa allows attendees to access contact information of other attendees and exhibitors by scanning QR codes on badges and exhibition booths. Access speakers' profiles. Share your experiences on social media. Give your sponsors and exhibitors real value through B2B, B2C, C2C. Sponsored ads adding more dollars into your pockets. Search and brand awareness. Our apps are paired with a robust admin system, including functionality for dynamic content changes, push messages, and graphic updates, giving you control over what attendees see before, during, and after the event. This is the true way of keeping your audience engaged.
Digital, powering your event.
How do you ensure that your participants are kept updated, networked, and view your event at all times? Easy answer. Use what they carry at all times to keep them engaged. Mobile apps have grown to be the new important attribute of attendee engagement in events. That's why Digital Mobile Solution is designed to engage your attendees and enhance the overall experience. We understand that different events have different needs. That's why we help you create a customized mobile app that suits your event needs. Life is precious, live it stress-free. Delegates now have access to hotel booking, event program, maps, and floor plan, giving you much time to address more pressing issues. With our instantaneous communication feature, you can now keep everyone in the know. Broadcast important information, alerts, and reminders to all attendees without interrupting ongoing sessions. Push notifications. Boost attendee networking by allowing them to interact and network in the conference through a private social network that can only be accessed by registered attendees, creating a lasting relationship beyond your event. Exchanging contacts has never been easier. Chokoa allows attendees to access contact information of other attendees and exhibitors by scanning QR codes on badges and exhibition booths. Access speakers' profiles. Share your experiences on social media. Give your sponsors and exhibitors real value through B2B, B2C, C2C. Sponsored ads adding more dollars into your pockets. Search and brand awareness. Our apps are paired with a robust admin system, including functionality for dynamic content changes, push messages, and graphic updates, giving you control over what attendees see before, during, and after the event. This is the true way of keeping your audience engaged.
Digital, powering your event.
ensure that your participants are kept updated, networked, and view your event at all times? Easy answer. Use what they carry at all times to keep them engaged. Mobile apps have grown to be the new important attribute of attendee engagement in events. That's why Digital Mobile Solution is designed to engage your attendees and enhance the overall experience. We understand that different events have different needs. That's why we help you create a customized mobile app that suits your event needs. Life is precious, live it stress-free. Delegates now have access to hotel booking, event program, maps, and floor plan, giving you much time to address more pressing issues. With our instantaneous communication feature, you can now keep everyone in the know. Broadcast important information, alerts, and reminders to all attendees without interrupting ongoing sessions. Push notifications. Boost attendee networking by allowing them to interact and network in the conference through a private social network that can only be accessed by registered attendees, creating a lasting relationship beyond your event. Exchanging contacts has never been easier. Chokoa allows attendees to access contact information of other attendees and exhibitors by scanning QR codes on badges and exhibition booths. Access speakers' profiles. Share your experiences on social media. Give your sponsors and exhibitors real value through B2B, B2C, C2C. Sponsored ads adding more dollars into your pockets. Search and brand awareness. Our apps are paired with a robust admin system, including functionality for dynamic content changes, push messages, and graphic updates, giving you control over what attendees see before, during, and after the event. This is the true way of keeping your audience engaged.
Digital, powering your event.
How do you ensure that your participants are kept updated, networked, and view your event at all times? Easy answer. Use what they carry at all times to keep them engaged. Mobile apps have grown to be the new important attribute of attendee engagement in events. That's why Digital Mobile Solution is designed to engage your attendees and enhance the overall experience. We understand that different events have different needs. That's why we help you create a customized mobile app that suits your event needs. Life is precious, live it stress-free. Delegates now have access to hotel booking, event program, maps, and floor plan, giving you much time to address more pressing issues. With our instantaneous communication feature, you can now keep everyone in the know. Broadcast important information, alerts, and reminders to all attendees without interrupting ongoing sessions. Push notifications. Boost attendee networking by allowing them to interact and network in the conference through a private social network that can only be accessed by registered attendees, creating a lasting relationship beyond your event. Exchanging contacts has never been easier. Chokoa allows attendees to access contact information of other attendees and exhibitors by scanning QR codes on badges and exhibition booths. Access speakers' profiles. Share your experiences on social media. Give your sponsors and exhibitors real value through B2B, B2C, C2C. Sponsored ads adding more dollars into your pockets. Search and brand awareness. Our apps are paired with a robust admin system, including functionality for dynamic content changes, push messages, and graphic updates, giving you control over what attendees see before, during.
I'm here in my capacity today as the advisory for Invest in Africa, one of the partners who are hosting you today. Just to let you know that we have been waiting for the CS, Honorable Munya. He has been downstairs, but he is just currently engaged and trying to resolve an issue on the phone, and then he comes up, and then we can officially start. So please accept our apologies for the delay, but just to let you know that our guest of honor, who was C.S. Munya, was who we were waiting for before we start, and he is in the house downstairs, but he is just resolving something, and then he comes up. Okay? So bear with us. We're hoping that in the next 5 minutes he should be coming up. Thank you so much. And there's plenty of coffee, there's still plenty to eat. Okay? And if you don't like the bread, we'll have cake. Thank you.
And after the event, this is the true way of keeping your audience engaged.
Digital, powering your event.
How do you ensure that your participants are kept updated, networked, and view your event at all times? Easy answer. Use what they carry at all times to keep them engaged. Mobile apps have grown to be the new important attribute of attendee engagement in events. That's why Digital Mobile Solution is designed to engage your attendees and enhance the overall experience. We understand that different events have different needs. That's why we help you create a customized mobile app that suits your event needs. Life is precious, live it stress-free. Delegates now have access to hotel booking, event program, maps, and floor plan, giving you much time to address more pressing issues. With our instantaneous communication feature, you can now keep everyone in the know. Broadcast important information, alerts, and reminders to all attendees without interrupting ongoing sessions. Push notifications. Boost attendee networking by allowing them to interact and network in the conference through a private social network that can only be accessed by registered attendees, creating a lasting relationship beyond your event. Exchanging contacts has never been easier. Chokoa allows attendees to access contact information of other attendees and exhibitors by scanning QR codes on badges and exhibition booths. Access speakers' profiles. Share your experiences on social media. Give your sponsors and exhibitors real value through B2B, B2C, C2C. Sponsored ads, adding more dollars into your pockets. Search and brand awareness. Our apps are paired with a robust admin system, including functionality for dynamic content changes, push messages, and graphic updates, giving you control over what attendees see before, during, and after the event. This is the true way of keeping your audience engaged.
Digital, powering your event.
How do you ensure that your participants are kept updated, networked, and view your event at all times? Easy answer. Use what they carry at all times to keep them engaged. Mobile apps have grown to be the new important attribute of attendee engagement in events. That's why Digital Mobile Solution is designed to engage your attendees and enhance the overall experience. We understand that different events have different needs. That's why we help you create a customized mobile app that suits your event needs. Life is precious, live it stress-free. Delegates now have access to hotel booking, event program, maps, and floor plan, giving you much time to address more pressing issues. With our instantaneous communication feature, you can now keep everyone in the know. Broadcast important information, alerts, and reminders to all attendees without interrupting ongoing sessions. Push notifications. Boost attendee networking by allowing them to interact and network in the conference through a private social network that can only be accessed by registered attendees, creating a lasting relationship beyond your event. Exchanging contacts has never been easier. Chokoa allows attendees to access contact information of other attendees and exhibitors by scanning QR codes on badges and exhibition booths. Access speakers' profiles. Share your experiences on social media. Give your sponsors and exhibitors real value through B2B, B2C, C2C. Sponsored ads adding more dollars into your pockets. Search and brand awareness. Our apps are paired with a robust admin system, including functionality for dynamic content changes, push messages, and graphic updates, giving you control over what attendees see before, during, and after the event. This is the true way of keeping your audience engaged.
Digital, powering your event.
How do you ensure that your participants are kept updated, networked, and feel your event at all times? Easy answer. Use what they carry at all times to keep them engaged. Mobile apps have grown to be the new important attribute of attendee engagement in events. That's why Digital Mobile Solution is designed to engage your attendees and enhance the overall experience. We understand that different events have different needs. That's why we help you create a customized mobile app that suits your event needs. Life is precious, live it stress-free. Delegates now have access to hotel booking, event program, maps, and floor plan, giving you much time to address more pressing issues. With our instantaneous communication feature, you can now keep everyone in the know. Broadcast important information, alerts, and reminders to all attendees without interrupting ongoing sessions. Push notifications. Boost attendee networking by allowing them to interact and network in the conference through a private social network that can only be accessed by registered attendees, creating a lasting relationship beyond your event. Exchanging contacts has never been easier. Chokoa allows attendees to access contact information of other attendees and exhibitors by scanning QR codes on badges and exhibition booths. Access speakers' profiles. Share your experiences on social media. Give your sponsors and exhibitors real value through B2B, B2C, C2C. Sponsored ads adding more dollars into your pockets. Search and brand awareness. Our apps are paired with a robust admin system, including functionality for dynamic content changes, push messages, and graphic updates, giving you control over what attendees see before, during, and after the event. This is the true way of keeping your audience engaged.
Digital, powering your event.
How do you ensure that your participants are kept updated, networked, and feel your event at all times? Easy answer. Use what they carry at all times to keep them engaged. Mobile apps have grown to be the new important attribute of attendee engagement in events. That's why Digital Mobile Solution is designed to engage your attendees and enhance the overall experience. We understand that different events have different needs. That's why we help you create a customized mobile app that suits your event needs. Life is precious, live it stress-free. Delegates now have access to hotel booking, event program, maps, and floor plan, giving you much time to address more pressing issues. With our instantaneous communication feature, you can now keep everyone in the know. Broadcast important information, alerts, and reminders to all attendees without interrupting ongoing sessions. Push notifications. Boost attendee networking by allowing them to interact and network in the conference through a private social network that can only be accessed by registered attendees, creating a lasting relationship beyond your event. Exchanging contacts has never been easier. Chokoa allows attendees to access contact information of other attendees and exhibitors by scanning QR codes on badges and exhibition booths. Access speakers' profiles. Share your experiences on social media. Give your sponsors and exhibitors real value through B2B, B2C, C2C. Sponsored ads adding more dollars into your pockets. Search and brand awareness. Our apps are paired with a robust admin system, including functionality for dynamic content changes, push messages, and graphic updates, giving you control over what attendees see before, during, and after the event. This is the true way of keeping your audience engaged.
Digital, powering your event.
How do you ensure that your participants are kept updated, networked, and feel your event at all times? Easy answer. Use what they carry at all times to keep them engaged. Mobile apps have grown to be the new important attribute of attendee engagement in events. That's why Digital Mobile Solution is designed to engage your attendees and enhance the overall experience. We understand that different events have different needs. That's why we help you create a customized mobile app that suits your event needs.
And we are going to kick off. Once again, let me say thank you so much for your patience. And here is our guest of honor, arriving now, Honorable Peter Munya, Secretary, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Industry, Trade and Cooperatives. Welcome. Okay. Your Honor, CS Peter Munya, Cabinet Secretary for Ministry, Industry, Trade and Cooperatives. Our VIPs and event partners today, represented here, I will start with Musingi, East Africa, represented here by the CEO Aggie Asimwe Konde. Invest in Africa, who I also represented here also by Executive Director William Polan and our Country Director Wangeshi. ODI, who's the other partner here, represented by Ansetse. And the special, and Anne Mutai, who's here in her capacity as the special advisor to the presidency on SME development. All our partners represented here today, Equity Bank represented here by Philip, Tallow represented by Sandy, who was here and has stepped out, and all the other partners who are here. I'd like to say good morning to all of you and welcome to this morning's event. So let me do a very quick introduction as to why we're here and the theme of our event this morning, which is around growing an inclusive economy and creating linkages for MSMEs within the Big Four agenda. The 3 or 4 partners, I think I should call them, who have come together this morning to put this event are Invest in Africa, who is a private sector partnership initiative that has the agenda or the objective of creating linkages and enabling trade between MSMEs and large corporates by enhancing the skills, improving access to markets and finance with a vision of prospering our economies towards stronger economic growth and job creation. Invest in Africa, or IIA as we call ourselves, has created a cross-sector online technology platform that links MSMEs with procurement opportunities availed by the private sector across value chains to promote local content and business sustainability. Our second principal partner for this event this morning is Musingi East Africa, who are an independent industry development organization that is building East Africa's industries of the future through various initiatives. Musingi will support the region and Kenya's development of a globally competitive textile and garments industry that is sustainable and inclusive by 2030. Musingi recognizes the importance of the SME sector in contributing to gainful employment and wealth creation and entrepreneurship. That is our second partner today. The third partner who we have today is the Small and Medium Enterprise Advisory Unit that advises the Executive Office of the President on initiatives that mainstream SME activity into the formal economy and the government of Kenya's policy. The unit serves to increase SME productivity and contribute to the economic growth via SME engagement, research, oversight, coordination, and partnership and development. And finally, I will talk to the last partner, who is the Overseas Development Institute, who is supporting economic transformation. Program was commissioned by the Office of the President in partnership with your ministry, Honorable CS, to research the textile, garments, and leather value chains with a focus on MSMEs as part of the government's Big Four agenda. The research culminated in a report that we'll be sharing and launching today, titled Integrating Kenya's Small Firms into Leather, Textile, and Garment Value Chains, Creating Jobs under Kenya's Big Four agenda. So those are the partners, and those are the people who have brought you here today. But before I go to the main part of the agenda, I'm also going to give a little bit of context as to why these parties felt the need and actually came together to do the work that we're doing. And let me share just a few quick facts. MSMEs currently employ 14.9 million people, which is 78% of the country's workforce. In the country today, the current record is about 7.4 million MSMEs, and what they do, and they currently contribute a third of the GDP of Kenya. A third of the GDP from these 7.4 million SMEs or these informal sectors. If we look at where our job creation is coming from, 83% of all new jobs are created by the informal sector or MSMEs. So quite clearly, as we sit here this morning, it is very apparent if we're to drive any transformation in our economy, if we're to develop our economy, it has to be with a lot of focus on MSMEs, which is why the parties here today are very clearly saying we want to work together in order to drive that. So the two main activities of the event this morning are to launch this report that was commissioned, and we will have the ODI representative here presenting that. And this is the report that is integrating Kenya's small firms into leather, textile, and garment value chains under Kenya's Big Four agenda. So that is going to be one of the things that we'll be doing today and launching. And the second thing that is very critical for Invest in Africa will be the milestone celebration and reveal of the new look private sector platform that has been created to continue to drive linkages between big and small business. So that is a context, that is a background as to why we're here today. And I would like to welcome you all again. And by the way, I did not say who I was. My name is Patricia Ithao. I'm here today as your MC. I wear various hats, but for the purpose of the meeting today, I am here as your MC, but also one of the founding members at the beginning for Invest in Africa, and currently the advisory chair for the advisory board for Invest in Africa. But I also play a lot in the MSc in very many other ways. I run a program with Stanford University, which is really supporting the transformation and scaling up of SMEs, not just in Kenya, but in the region. So a warm welcome to all of you. I'd also like to welcome our Principal Secretary, who's just walked in, Betty, who is one of our advisors as well, who has been an advisor right at the beginning for Invest in Africa. Welcome, Betty, and thank you for joining us this morning. So what I'd now like to do is try and move quite swiftly on to our agenda. And the first part of our agenda, which is on the table, is we said one of the big things we want to do is launch this report. And to take us through that report, I would now like to invite Ansese Were, who represents the ODI. She is one of the people who founded and developed the report. And Ansese is a leading development economist in the country. I'm sure all of you read her columns. At least I enjoy listening to her, reading her interpretation of the economy. In particular, I think everybody should take a moment to read her interpretation of how the growth in our GDP is not or does not translate to you and I as we do, as we work. A brilliant column and a brilliant economist and somebody who's always fantastic to listen to. So let me welcome Ansese now to come and present to us this report that she has done. Thank you, Ansese.
Thank you very much, Honorable C.S. Peter Munya, P.S. Betty Maina, Anne Mutai from the Office of the President, SME Advisor, Senior Advisor, CEO of Msingi, Agi, Wangeshi, CEO of Invest in Africa, distinguished guests, partners, thank you very much for making the time to come, and thank you for that very generous introduction, Patricia. So I will just sort of walk you through the broad strokes of this report, why it was commissioned and why I think it's important, and then we'll get into sort of the meat a bit later. So really the foundations of this report started about a year and a half ago, when the Ministry of Industry and the Office of the President really wanted to better understand micro and small medium enterprises in the leather, textile, and garments value chain. As you know, under the Big Four agenda, manufacturing is one of the key pillars, and these specific subsectors are important. And as Patricia elucidated earlier, MSMEs are really anchor players in job creation, and so we needed to understand where they exactly sit in that value chain. So really what this is about is not only linking to the Big Four agenda, but also linking to economic transformation and linking government policy to economic transformation. So in fact, some of the people in this room are the people we interviewed. There were MSME associations, private sector association, government players, and we really had extensive interviews, I think over about a 6-month period, where we went to various parts of the country, really focused on textile garments and the leather value chain. So really the report, which you'll be able to get when you leave, really focuses on what are the most optimal role that government bodies can play in stimulating the micro, small, and medium enterprise sector, with a focus on leather, textile, and garments. So really this is just the focus of what we're going to run through very quickly, is looking at the role of MSMEs and then looking at their role in the specific value chains, looking at their capabilities, what they are doing now and what they can be doing, what policy measures can help them play a more efficient, effective, and profitable role in the value chains, and then 3 practical steps that government can take. So just as Patricia said, I won't belabor the point. MSMEs are job creators, MSMEs contribute to GDP, but when you start really looking at where they sit in the value chain, you begin to see that they're really on the lower end in terms of value addition, and they're also on the lower end in terms of their capabilities to scale and to become profitable consistently. So while they're very important in job creation, that often does not translate to economic well-being, because they're often relegated to the less profitable elements or the less profitable parts of the value chain. And we're sort of going to get into that right now. And particularly when you look at the manufacture of leather and garments, MSMEs really, because those are capital intensive areas, don't play a very large role. So when you look at transforming cotton to actual fabric, the capital intensive nature of that locks out a lot of MSMEs. So you'll find that in the textile and garments, the micro, small and medium enterprise really start playing a very important role after the fabric is ready and after the fabric is done. And in terms of the leather sector, it's also very similar. The actual tanning and production of leather itself, again, very capital intensive. So you'll find that, again, a lot of the MSMEs will sit in the value addition chain further along in terms of creating finished leathered goods. So you'll find that the micro and small and medium enterprises are interspersed along the value chain. So we just wanted to start a sense of where are these MSME clusters, where do they sit? This you'll be able to see a lot more clear in the report itself. One of the key things that obviously came up as we were doing this research is that there's been no real mapping of MSME activity in Kenya, not in any comprehensive manner and not in any sector. So certainly when you look at textiles and garments and leather, you don't really know the intensity of activity of micro and small medium enterprise in terms of the geographical map and in terms of the clusters. So our work specifically focused in and around Nairobi, and we sort of have pointed out where some of the players that we interviewed sit, and sort of linking that to special economic zones, which is something that the government, I think, is taking quite seriously, and how can MSMEs really be part of that agenda to make use of the opportunities of special economic zones. So when we look at the pathways, this gets a bit technical, so I won't get into it really, but there are really 7 ways micro, small, and medium enterprise sit in the textile and garments value chain, as well as the leather value chain. So I'll just go to the next image. Really, you'll find that MSMEs fall across this value chain, but they tend to cluster. So one of the key roles we found MSMEs play is the actual raw material, the actual hides to make leather, and the actual cotton production, smallholder farmers. MSMEs are very important in that. But when it comes to the actual manufacture of the product itself, we find MSMEs tend to fall off a bit. But what we find is that even though they're not doing core manufacturing, let's say of leather or of garments, they're playing very important roles in the supply and the support of the manufacture, whether it's in the services in terms of logistics support, packaging support, marketing and branding, market access. MSMEs are very important in allowing large manufacturers to get to market, to get supplies. And so one of the things we found is that there are very interesting linkages that exist between micro, small, and medium enterprise and larger firms. And you'll find that there is a coexistence that does exist there, and we're going to unpack that a bit in the panel. Then the manufacturing of the core product, again, not as many MSMEs in that space. Finishing the core product is really where the MSMEs play a very important role. And we see this in the Uhuru textile cluster that we talked to, and I think the representatives are here. And we also saw that in the Cario core leather market. There's a lot of finishing where cut fabric or cut leather is finished with beads and bangles and, creating a finished product. So finishing the core product is important. And then, of course, these other roles the MSMEs play, transporting and storage. I think anybody who sells in Kenya and in Africa knows that you need to have micro, small, and medium enterprise in your distribution network to get your good to market. The people who get Coca-Cola to Kajiado are MSMEs. So really, when it comes to transporting and storage, again, MSMEs play a crucial role. And if you look at some of the figures, I think Deloitte released a report about 2 years ago that said 90% of retail markets in Africa are informal and MSME. So really, when you're looking at market access, MSMEs are key enablers. And then sort of the aggregation, I think, is where I think MSMEs struggle. And this is where we found large firms playing quite an important role in being able to aggregate products and then sell them on, particularly to export markets. So we'll find that when MSMEs play an important role in accessing domestic and regional markets, when it comes to export markets, large firms are very important in the aggregation and accessing that. So you'll find that according to these 7 pathways, different MSMEs will play different roles. But when we looked at the type and the quality of what they were doing in those roles, we generally found that they're really playing on the lower value addition end. And there are several reasons why this is the case. But whether you look at leather, textiles, or garments. Most of the MSMEs are not doing very complex tasks. Often they don't have the resources and technology to perform complex tasks. In the textiles specifically, again, low value addition because of the capital intensive nature of producing textiles. And then in garments, again, they're doing fairly rudimentary tasks. And one of the reasons, so again, I'll be able to unpack these for those who are interested in terms of what that exactly means. But one of the reasons why this is happening and why we find often micro, small, and medium enterprise are locked in sort of the less profitable part of the value chain is because of the constraints they face. I think anybody who does work with micro, small, and medium enterprise, they're just general problems they face. A lack of information in terms of skills, a lack of information in terms of market access, a lack of information in terms of the opportunities that they can take advantage of. Obviously, a lack of support systems for MSMEs generally in terms of technology, technical skills, business skills training, and then, of course, poor access to finance. So those are across the board, and you'll find whether it's the Juakali sector or agricultural smallholder farmers, those will tend to be true. In terms of textiles, really, they're really low yields in terms of cotton production, partly because of agronomic practices, but also the use of obsolete technologies. And this is also even the formal players. Some people are really running machines that are about 30 years old, and that has an impact on productivity and energy efficiency. In terms of garments, one of the big things we heard from MSMEs is the rise of illegal imports from other parts of the country and other parts of the world, not country, other parts of the world that are undercutting the market that they used to have. A lack of technology to carry out very routine tasks, a lack of local capacity and skills to perform higher value-added work. And then there was also a complaint of an uneven playing field, and that often there is a feeling from MSMEs that government tends to focus on the large players and really neglect micro and small and medium enterprise. And that's why I think we were very encouraged when the Office of the President and the Ministry asked us to really look at what micro, small, and medium enterprise need. Then in terms of the leather sector, poor quality of hides and hygiene in slaughterhouses, cost of power is a big constraint for tanneries. And then high import tariffs, and again, dependence on old technologies. There are obviously more constraints than these, but these are the key highlights as to why MSMEs tend to play where they play in the value chain. So one of the key tasks we were tasked with was what are the policy measures that government can take, because this is obviously a document that targets government. We have ideas of what other stakeholders can do. But in terms of the view that we took, given our research, what is it the government can do? And really, this is what we focused on. Information is crucial, and business advisory, knowledge management support is important. And then strengthening clusters in the ways listed there, from finance to technology. But really one of the biggest ones we really heard is safeguards against illicit trade. I mean, this is something we hear everywhere we go. Dumping of cheap products, people being undercut, their customers being taken away. And so that was a very big one. And then also the fundamentals required to actually be a productive enterprise, infrastructure. What does the marketplace look like? Does it have the facilities? And then of course, promotion of market access. And then also the enhancement of existing government institutions that are dedicated to MSMEs. This is the Micro Small Enterprise Authority, who I think are represented here, and obviously Kenya Industrial Estates, who I know are represented here, really leveraging them to drive the transformation of MSMEs. Then we now looked specifically at what the ministry can do, and this is ongoing work the ministry has been doing, and it's probably been updated since we did this, but really continuing the policy reviews to promote the inclusivity of MSMEs, and of course this report is a part of that. There was also the plan to establish an MSME digital portal, and I think people tend to underestimate the importance of this, but if we can have a place where you can get data and information on MSMEs and where MSMEs can go to get data and information, that will really be an enabler. It will allow people who are interested in MSMEs to come in, get information, and plan on how they're going to interact with the sector. And it will allow MSMEs to get a better understanding of the opportunities around that. So we really feel this digital portal is really important. Also finalizing the MSME financing policy. Obviously, the MSME fund is something that I know the sector is really very keen to understand better. And gladly, this is provided for in the MSME Act. So really just continuing that. And then another core thing that ministers can do is to strengthen institutions that really focus on micro, small, and medium enterprise, which is a Micro Small Enterprise Authority and Kenya Industrial Estates. And the reason we say that is I'm going to get into later, but The role of county government is also something that came out very clearly, is that when you're looking at micro and small medium enterprise, they're interacting with both national government and county government. And so you need to have a very clear understanding of how national government and county government can play complementary roles towards a joint vision of MSME transformation. So when we looked at sort of the specifics that county governments can do, I'll just sort of focus on the last 3 bullet points, is really coordinate with the Ministry of Industry to ensure more effective coordination and complementarity of what they're targeting in their MSME activities. You'll find that county governments are actually quite independent. So I think it's really important that the coordination between national and county happens. I think also better engaging county governments on how to use the assets and resources at their disposal better would be good. I think sort of assigning land to MSMEs, figuring out what assets do counties have that could be leveraged towards micro, small, and medium enterprise authority. And then also another big role we saw, which is also something we also heard from the MSMEs, was what role can county government play in improving market access for micro, small, and medium enterprise. This is particularly with counties that are on the border to East Africa and the East Africa community. What role can county governments play to enable micro, small, and medium enterprises to better access regional opportunities? So in terms of what next, and I believe this is probably my last slide, in terms of the 3 core things we thought would be really important in catalyzing the sector from a government policy point of view, is really to restructure the MSME support structures that government has. And I know there are conversations on how to make the Micro Small Enterprise Authority more efficient and more effective. I think also strengthening the incubator and accelerator programs is crucial. Kenya Industrial Estates, in my view, is one of the most under-leveraged government agencies in this country. I think when you look at the interest in startup accelerators and incubators, I think there's a real opportunity for government to position a government incubator to leverage that interest towards government agendas. And then finally, as I said, involve county governments. There needs to be a development of a formal framework of how national and county, led by the Ministry of Industry, will really drive the development of the sector. So I think I'm going to end my comments there. The download of the fuller report is right there, and thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
So much. Thank you so much, Ansense. I think the full report will be shared, and after we listen to the keynote from our guest of honor, he will be launching that formally, and it will be shared for all of you to go through it. So now what I'd like to do is introduce the second part of our agenda for this morning, and this is to introduce Wangeshi Muriuki, who's a country director for Invest in Africa, and she will now be coming forward to talk to the new platform that we have launched as Invest in Africa, and to also share the journey of Invest in Africa, the milestones we are celebrating today. Wangeshi will thereafter invite our partners and directors in the reveal of the new look of our platform later at the end of her session. So Wangeshi, over to you. But even as she comes, I have been told we do live in a social era. Kindly tweet. Yeah, we need tweeters. Yes, so it's at Econ Transform, at IIA_Kenya, and at Musingi EA. I mean, you guys are all sharp, you've got that. Okay? Thank you. So welcome, Wangeshi.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. We are very honored today to have the presence of the CS, the Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Peter Munya of the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, whose ministry is a key implementer of one of the big four agenda under manufacturing, and also a critical driver of an enabling policy environment for MSMEs in Kenya, who we all are very passionate about. Would like to extend our sincere appreciation for you, CS, for gracing this event. And about this event, it is in partnership with Musingi, East Africa. It's a partnership of Invest in Africa and the SME advisory under the presidency. And the theme of the event is growing an inclusive economy by creating linkages for MSMEs within the Big Four agenda. I'm here to talk to you about the story of Invest in Africa in Kenya. So 3 years ago, we set up Invest in Africa in Kenya, and we did conduct a survey in conjunction with Strathmore Business School to help us understand the challenges of MSMEs in trading with the larger corporates, the big companies in Kenya, and also the large multinationals. And today's report by ODI that was presented here by Anzetse, if you listened very carefully, it has highlighted findings that are very close, that mirror the findings that the study of Invest in Africa in 2016 also generated, highlighting 3 key ingredients as what MSMEs really need for growth. So the 3 themes are access to markets, access to skills, and access to finance. So in talking about this partnership with Musingi and everybody else, we're all reading from the same script. And this is the only way we can easily find the synergy and the collaboration with the aim of making even more significant strides in creating the linkages for MSMEs in order to simplify trade. And those are the key words today, creating linkages. But do we all know what this means for the MSMEs? What does creating linkages mean for the MSMEs? It means, for instance, knowing how to access information about a tender, or simply just learning how to write a business plan, or getting the information on how to access finance, or even accessing the right type of finance for my business. So those are the linkages that we are talking about. And we could go on and on and on in talking about these things. And I must say that without the sense of the impact of these linkages, we may not achieve our desired goals as an economy. We cannot drive the job creation agenda or even empower enterprises unless we do something about it. So, what did we do as Invest in Africa? In order to address these critical challenges, we set up IIA in 2016 to recognize 2 critical requirements to the success. And one of those is partnerships. No one can be able to do this alone, and that is really what we believe in. We cannot make the impact and the scale that is required to create jobs that this country needs or even what this economy demands unless we work together. So at Invest in Africa, or IIA, we set it up as a corporate membership of organizations that believed in supporting SMEs, organizations who believed in empowering enterprises or the small businesses. The second thing that we identified and we wanted to recognize as being as important is technology. We are now operating in a technology space, and we realize that we cannot also make the impact that is required to reach out to all SMEs across counties, and not just in Nairobi, without taking advantage of the benefit of technology in leapfrogging the traditional ways in which people meet or people can find opportunities. And therefore, our flagship program, the African Partner Pool, or the APP, which we are commonly known about, that we launched 2 years ago, is the epitome of partnership and technology. So how does this work? Or how did it work? We reached out to private sector partners who committed to ring-fencing opportunities for MSMEs and created a pool where they could avail these opportunities and make them visible for the SMEs to uptake. I would now like to acknowledge some of those partners who believed in us and have joined us along the way and have supported us in ensuring that these opportunities are available and accessible to the SMEs or to the MSMEs. I can see that Talo are here. Let's give them a round of applause. So we've got Talo Kenya, we've got Equity Bank, we've got Base Titanium, we've got Safaricom, we've got Shell, we have Stanbic, we have AMSCO, and recently we've been joined by 7 Seas Technologies. Let's appreciate them. We've got 748 Air Services and many more. We then invited MSMEs to register onto this platform and pre-vetted them. And I'm glad to see that we've got quite a number of our SMEs in this room. So we did conduct some rigorous vetting process in order to make them business ready for the opportunities that had been availed. But we didn't stop at that. We went further to identify their gaps and find a solution towards that. So we offered targeted skills development to help them address those challenges that we have also been able to deliver with some of our partners, like I can see AMSCO here, the African Management, up an online academy for the SMEs to be able to access simple toolkits and guides, the how-to guides to help them access quick information. Now, and for those SMEs that won tenders through our platform, we did work also with partners to enable them gain the access to affordable credit or help them become more understood by the banks. So we've partnered with financial institutions to make it easier, or rather to simplify doing business in the 3 ways through our platform. And here we are, 2 years down the line after launching this platform, we have made some significant milestones. So one is that we have got 2,250 MSMEs registered on our platform. We've managed to bring on board 20 partners to join the membership of Invest in Africa. We have 67 tenders worth 270 million Kenya shillings being won so far on this platform by MSMEs. We've trained over 200 MSMEs and over 300 million Kenya shillings of financing has been unlocked through this platform. Ladies and gentlemen, we have so far created through this platform about 5,000 plus new jobs for Kenyans. However, it's important to recognize that these milestones do not mean that the job is done. The milestones actually mean that the job has just begun. And what we are here to tell you today as Invest in Africa is that the model works. I'm sure you agree with me. We have proven that the model works, but we are now ready to scale this up. Okay? We are looking for new members. We are looking for new MSMEs to register and respond to the opportunities. We are looking for new partners who essentially would not be able to achieve the kind of impact on their own. So we are inviting them to join the bandwagon. And therefore, in the true spirit of Invest in Africa, we are not just fulfilled with celebrating these milestones. We want to do something else that's very special to us today. As Patricia mentioned, we will be unveiling a new look platform. We will be revealing a new logo for this platform that we have always known as the African Partner Pool. But let me tell you what's new about this platform. Other than the name, it is robust. It's very seamless from a cleaner design. It is augmented with a fully automated process that supports the vetting process for SMEs who register to become business ready and to respond to the opportunities. The new platform also has an online academy called the Biashara Academy, and it is also loaded with some very innovative offerings for buyers who may want to procure from our vetted MSMEs. So this positions us to refocus on the path towards our vision. And our vision is to create prospering African economies by connecting MSMEs to more opportunities for trade within the private and the public sector in Kenya. We are reaffirming our vision today of connecting Kenyan SMEs to contracts worth Kenya shillings 1 billion shillings and to create 25,000 jobs for Kenyans by 2020. And we are penning this new chapter of our remarkable story, bearing confidence in the power of partnerships and linkages. We've now come to a very important part of the ceremony, and I will be inviting a few people to come and help us unveil. And we will be represented by our global director, a representative of the SMEs, a few of our partners. But before I just do that, I would like to invite us to become the spark in that room that will light this fire of enterprise, making our commitment that we are going to support SMEs by kindly tweeting. Let me just let me remind you of our Twitter handles today. It's at EconTransform, at EconTransform, at IIA_Kenya, and at Musingi EA. By doing that, we are actually starting to light the fire. Allow me to welcome Patricia to the stage. I will also welcome our Global Director, Mr. William Paulin, our partners, Talo. Is Reshma here? Okay, Susan. Equity Bank, Philip Sigwat, Mike Masharia, representing the non-executive directors. We shall also invite one of our SMEs who's on the platform, and because she's come all the way from Turukana, I think this really matters to us. Lydia, kindly come to the stage and represent the 2,000 MSMEs on the platform. Let's appreciate her. I also want to invite Aristarika Swero from Stanbic Group, Anthony Mwithiga, one of our NEDs, and John Gumi. All right, we'll invite Judith Lorica of AMSCO.
I'm looking for the assistants who are supposed to help us with the reveal. I think it's supposed to come to the middle. Are we going to move it to the middle? All right, so I think we just stand a little bit to the side. And then what we'll do is we'll have some of you on that side and some on this side. And then the screen does not go up. Can the screen go up? It's okay. this is the moment. I just would like the screen to go up, if it's possible. If it's not showing anything, let it go up. Okay. Thank you. So, Gesa, can you please come and show us what we're supposed to do? There we go. All right, so as we reveal,
In 10, 9,
yay!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is our new look platform. We are now officially biashara.now. .now means you will click and get live and convertible opportunities. So appreciate our partners and thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So, 2 years down the line, lots of learnings. And as with everything, I think it's always important that we hear from the people, our stakeholders, whether we're actually making an impact. Because as you can imagine, we can all stand here and talk to what we think we've done. But that testimony is only true if we hear from the people we've actually impacted. And so what I'd like to do now is introduce a panel of testimonials, which will be moderated by Ansetse Were. So Ansetse, please welcome back to the stage. And our panelists to really talk to the impact that linkages can have in order to further stimulate the economy. We have Susan Munyori, a local content manager from Talo, Kenya. And she's an Invest in Africa founding member. So she'll be talking about why, from a corporate side, why they felt it was important for them to be a part of this journey. We have Lydia Tioko, who's a director of Le Toilette Company Limited. She's an SME on the Invest in Africa Biashara Now platform. And again, she's going to give some testimony of the benefits and the journey she's been on ever since she became one of our SME suppliers on the platform. We have Monica Canari here from Occasion and Days, who's going to talk about the impact of this textile and garments industry and why it is so important in the Big Four agenda if we're to actualize that aspect. And we finally have a leather Apex representative, Beatrice, who will be here, coming up here as well to just talk. So over to you, Ansetse, to lead the next session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patricia. And I think it's important that, as Patricia says, we hear from the MSMEs themselves, but I think it's also important to understand why large companies, as it has been demonstrated, are becoming increasingly interested in partnering with micro, small, and medium enterprise as a part of their core business. This is not something that they're doing as a part of corporate social responsibility. They're actually taking core steps to integrate them into core business. So thank you very much, all panelists, for being present. I'm just going to have a question for each of you. And I think let's just start with you, Susan. You're the local content manager at Tello. And I really just want to understand, what was Tello's motivation? Sort of this large global, company. What were the motivations behind you deliberately bringing on SMEs into your value chain and business model?
Okay, thanks, Sensei. Talo has a 2030 vision, a bit similar to the Kenya 2030. And in it has sustainability as a core pillar. And it has endeavored to create shared prosperity and mitigate its environmental impact as it delivers an economic return. What this means in terms of shared prosperity is that local content is indeed very critical in delivering that particular agenda. And in local content, there is developing suppliers. There is also providing opportunities for employees, and in this case, Kenyans, and also developing the skills of these people, and as well supporting social economic investment, which is focused. Why would Talo to do this, despite there not being passed local content legislation in the country? This is because Talo believes that it's the right thing to do. When we work with the communities where we operate, when we work with the businesses in the country where we operate, when we give opportunities to the Kenyans, that indeed would make it a responsible operator. The other thing is that it needs to make commercial sense, and it does make commercial sense. Rather than importing equipment from out there, importing services that are available locally at the standards that are required, then why not just go to the place where they are available? So indeed, through the supply chain, Talo has seized those opportunities, and we currently have, from 2018 to date, we have worked with more than 300 Kenyan businesses. Majority of those are indeed MSMEs, and we also report $340 million spent with Kenyan businesses to date. That is significant contribution to this Kenyan economy. Maybe I can also indicate why there's need for that. We recognize that upstream oil and gas industry is new, and we would therefore need to ensure that there's information to these small businesses, and in so doing, there will be opportunities for unlocking capacity building. Partnership with Invest in Africa has been able to support the capacity building initiatives, and Wangeshi has already mentioned that in her previous presentation. We as well have partnered with various institutions, Lundin Foundation represented here. We've also partnered with AMSCO to provide training services to business people in Turkana. And as well, we have engaged TechnoServe since 2017 to constantly develop capacity of MSMEs in Turkana County especially.
Thank you very much for that comprehensive overview. So Lydia, I'm now going to talk to you and sort of look at your experience as an SME that is partnering with a large company. Please, can you share with us the journey that you went through to actually secure a contract from a large business as an SME? I think there are a lot of SMEs in Kenya who wonder, how do we get these big contracts? Please tell us what journey you went through on that.
Rototelate being owned and run by a woman, we deal with building works and road works, water works and supply. And this has been a male-dominant jobs. We are self-employed, so we can't sit down and wait for buyers to get us. We go and search for buyers through hard fat, pre-qualification, and we also meet merit against our competitors on tenders applied. We follow the pre-qualification being set by the county government and the national government. And we've been able to meet the required awards. That is why Lotetelate is where it is. It has been a tough journey, being a woman, but we've tried. Invest in Africa has also helped us. We knew about Invest in Africa through a neighbor and through training that were organized in our county. Invest in Africa has helped us. Skills, financially, improvement in market access. That is why we were where we are now. We've been able to to get tenders of worth even 20 million from the county government, from NGOs, from TALO. That is why we are where we are now.
Thank you, Lydia. So, Monica, I'm now going to talk to you. Obviously, you're in the textile and garments sector that we've sort of unpacked. Can you sort of give me sort of the advice that you would give small and medium enterprise around in the textile and garments sector, which sometimes is a bit fast moving in terms of trends and what do people want to buy and how do you manage that? How do you actually get a large anchor client that allows you to provide stability for your SME? What are the experiences that you've had in that, and sort of what advice would you give other SMEs?
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Well, I think just sitting here makes me really wonder if I'm in the right place. I don't feel like a giant, not at all. And I've had few opportunities, but I think the greatest thing has been to be consistent, to give very reliable, very practical deliveries. As in, if you're giving a big order, if you get a big order, just be realistic about it. We overpromise sometimes, and we, and even as you know your limitations, sometimes you get carried away and think about the end product, the money at the end of the day, and not really the practicality in delivering what it is that you're required to do. For us, it has been being consistent, knowing your client, understanding your client, testing the raw materials that you're going to work with so that you can guarantee what you deliver. In the sense that if you have shirts that you need to provide, test the fabric, because afterwards the client comes back to you and say, our shirts faded, our shirts shrunk or something like that. Because we have no control of the raw materials that we use, that is our greatest limitation, and I know a lot of the people in the textile industry can say yes. Getting 300 meters of anything 3 months later down the road is not a promise that you can give. So always be realistic with your client and say, look, I'll provide this, and these are the options that I'm likely to get in the next order. Because if you say I will deliver, you must deliver. And I think the other thing for us is that whatever we promise, we keep. If you have a 2 weeks delivery period, you do it no matter the cost. If it means a loss to you, keep your promise. And I think that's where you would get an edge with many different corporates, that you promise, whatever you promise, you deliver. And after sales, you say, okay, how was it? How was the product? Is everybody happy? That's not common with corporates. I mean, you don't do that for corporates. You deliver, and whatever happens, happens. But I think we set ourselves apart and say, look, if we deliver uniforms, we'll make sure that you're happy, you're content, everybody is satisfied, and you sort of give a customized service, in the sense that it's uniform, yes, we know its sizes, but we make sure that because of all our different sizes, our different fittings, everybody gets what they need. So we give a little bit more detail, or what I would say maybe a bit more personalized service, even though it's a corporate group.
Thank you. And I think you started unpacking the challenges, and I think I want now to bring Beatrice in the leather value chain, which is a very complex one, I know. And I know you know that. So I just want to, from your perspective as somebody who is active in the industry as a whole, in the leather value chain, what are some of the challenges you've seen SMEs having in terms of getting large anchor clients, and how have some of those challenges been resolved?
Yeah, thank you very much, Nseze. As you rightfully say, I represent the Leather Apex. Leather Apex is an umbrella body of associations along the leather value chain. So basically, we are talking about starting the chain from the hides and skin dealers right to manufacturers of leather goods and tanners in between. Yeah? So our work basically is to optimize the value chain. So we want to optimize the value chain so that we can compete, not only locally, but
globally. So for that to happen, we have a lot of conversation and linkages happening in between. So allow me first to talk about how we are relating within the chain before I get to the challenges. So what we're doing within the chain is to ensure initially, you'll find that a number of entrepreneurs and most of them SMEs that were focused on value adding the leather that we're getting from tanners did not have a direct connection or influence over the kind of finished leather they'll get from the tannery. But then by coming together now, we are working toward establishing that relationship so that we can communicate and link up with the tanner so that then we can get the quality and the type of leather that we require to fashion leather goods. But then again, we are also collaborating so that we can advance into the market as a group, as an industry. So we have a lot of backward and forward linkages. I also wanted to point out to the fact that the relationship we have is symbiotic. So it's not from large to small. In most times we are talking about linkages, we tend to think that the relationship is from large to small. But the kind of relationship we have is actually symbiotic. Both a small-scale entrepreneur may initiate linkage to a large-scale firm, and likewise a large-scale firm may also initiate linkage backward. And then we also have linkages from outside, like the value chain also connecting with global value chains. So whereby we may have a dealer or a buyer of leather goods outside the country, whereby we're also having those kind of linkages. And then from the presentation, I think you saw most of the largest number of players in this industry, like many other industry, are actually SMEs. So we also have a lot of linkage from small to small, micro to micro. So we have also that kind of a relationship. So let us not limit our perspective to large, small. So we have, it's actually quite dynamic and a mix of a relationship. So where it is working properly, there's a lot of gain. We've seen businesses becoming more vibrant and optimizing their performance. Because then if we have a large scale, for example, connecting with an SME, then we'll find that the SME will focus on production if the relationship is to provide part components, and that keeps them busy and engages them. We've also seen a skills transfer, both whether it is local, large, small, or international global value chain coming local. We've seen a lot of quality skill transfer in the sense that in most cases you'll find that the large firm or the global value chain will tend to train the SME to be able to produce the kind of product they require. So we see that. And then we've also seen an improvement of quality, because then together we collaborate to ensure that whatever it is that we have to deliver to the client is of quality. So out of this kind of linkage and relationship, we've seen enhanced capabilities to be able to produce competitive products, which is a plus. But then we also have a negative. You see, everywhere where we have the positive, there is also a trend of having some negativity. And the negativity is whereby we have unscrupulous business persons that use the tag supporting small and micro, when in essence, they are doing little of that. And those kind of guys, you'll find, they are more or less traders. You'll find they are importing 95% of their products are cheap imports. Somebody made a presentation, talked about dumping. So in fact, these are the culprits who are actually dumping into this country, bringing in about 95% of their products, and then bringing in the part components of products. Let's say an upper shoe is done completely elsewhere, the lower part is done completely elsewhere. Then you come in and ask an SME to assemble it for you, and then you walk around with the tag saying that I am linked to an SME and supporting SMEs. So we have that kind of unscrupulous business dealings happening, and therefore in such a case it does not work positively. We also have a challenge in the sense that the business is not reliable. So I want to get into the challenges. Now, the challenges that we have...
be a bit faster.
Yeah, so the challenges we have is where we are not able, because we are far, wide, and diverse. So where we are not able to harmonize our capabilities to deliver expected qualities. Because if you were to subcontract a couple of SMEs and you have not standardized their capability, then chances are that you may not be able to deliver products that meet the required quality. Second thing is, of course, cost of production, and the cost of production, because you see SMEs are limited in terms of resources, technology, labor, economies of scale. So because of that, then you find that, of course, because the largest entrepreneur within the space there will be expectation to produce a competitive product. But because of the infrastructure and the setup, then you find that, yes, an SME will be subcontracted, but then the business is not gainful because what you get out of it eventually is not profitable.
Okay, thank you very much, panelists. I think we'll have to end it there so that we can get on with the rest of the program. Please give a round of applause to our panelists. Thank you very much for sharing your insights. Thank you.
All right. Somebody has left their phone. It will be auctioned at the end of the morning. So thank you so much. Thank you, Ansese, for that. And thank you to our panelists on that particular session. And I will just say who they are. It was Susan Munyori, who was from Talo, Lydia Tioko, who is an SME on our platform, Monica Canari from Occasions and Days and in the garment industry, and Bridget Mwasi, who is from the Leather Apex body. Thank you so much, panelists, for that session. So that is a private sector portion. That is what we have to offer. Now I want to shift gears and move now to the public sector, both county and central government. And to kick us off, before I do that, I want to do one other thing, close the session on the private sector and invite the partner who brought this together, and that is Musingi, through Aggie Asimwe-Konde, the CEO for Musingi East Africa. I'd like to have her come so that we wrap up the private sector session before we then move into the public sector and really talk to our relationship. So let me invite Aggie here. She is running Musingi East Africa and runs all the strategic planning, business development, and management of Musingi in the region. Welcome, Aggie.
Our guest of honor, Honorable Peter Munya, SME Senior Advisor, and Mutahi, the Country Director, Invest in Africa, and the ODI representative, Ansetse. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I know it's been a long morning, but thank you so much for your patience and for waiting on for all these presentations. My name's Aggie Asimwe-Konde. I'm the CEO of Musingi. And in the audience are my colleagues who I would request to please stand up for recognition. Hey, welcome Norbert, Gloria, Antoinette, and Michael, you're welcome, thank you. I think I'm Tom somewhere in the audience. I'll just quickly walk you through who Musingi is. I'm probably sure 90% of people in the room are hearing of us for the first time. The slides, okay. Musingi is a not-for-profit. Actually, Patricia, if I might correct you, we are a not-for-profit organization that sit in the development world. Our approach to this sector has been to really bridge the differences that we all see from private sector, government, and the development world. And we selected textiles and apparel as one of our key sector for transformation across the region. So we operate in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and Rwanda. And the lens that I'll be bringing into this discussion is to really not just focus on small and micro enterprises, but to also try and understand the global lens and the larger opportunity that Kenya has got in transforming this sector. So like it is said, economic development world is not a cup of coffee. It is a journey that requires a long-term approach. The conversations I was hearing in this room this morning are more, how do we get tenders to the SMEs? How do we do this? The lens we're actually bringing is, how can we do this sustainably to achieve a resilient sector and be able to become competitive, not just in Kenya, but globally. So the opportunity is that Kenya, I think I was speaking to the CS just about a second ago, yesterday the US slumped a 25% import duty on China. What does that mean for us? What that means is that we will have enterprises out of these large countries looking to relocate to a country that will be able to deliver competitive labor force, quick access to markets, but it will be taking us to a much larger market that will not only be giving us a few pounds or a few dollars a day, but we will be able to move from a 450 million US dollar market to potentially a 2.2 billion size market in less than 10 years. That is the opportunity I would like us to look at. So what does Msingi do in this regard? Msingi is a forward-thinking East African organization. We are funded by the Gatsby Foundation and DFID. We are a not-for-profit. We take a private sector lens in our work, and we take a regional view to the market. And one of the things that I was speaking about, we've got Tanzania and Uganda growing some of the best cotton fiber in the region. So should Kenya be focusing on growing cotton, of which cotton is only 20% of the textiles and apparel input, or should we be looking at an alternative fiber that we can grow that then makes the region globally competitive? And those are the conversations that we would like to start having with some of the players in the market. Our approach has been tested. We have been in aquaculture. The other sector that we support is aquaculture. We recently made a very large investment in a farm in Homa Bay, which is a $2.5 million investment. And we are looking to turn this farm to become the largest African farm on the continent. And this is in Kenya. Thank you. So we've come into the textiles and apparel, and we're very deliberate about not talking about cotton, because we think that cotton will become an input into a successful textile and apparel sector, because it's a raw material. So if you've got a pull demand into the sector, competitively the farmers will move from every crop to cotton, or they will move into silk. So when we're talking about fashion being a fast forward moving industry, you will not get Kenyans wearing African fabric if it's not fast, if it's not fashionable, if it's not trendy. And how do we get SMEs to actually do that? We can only get them to do that if we've got the expertise, if we've got the art and science of making a proper garment. And I think that is where we're currently seeing a huge gap. And I don't know whether academia is in this room, but if we tried to analyze, and this is our approach to sector transformation, we take a lot of time to think. We take a lot of time to understand where are the constraints, who are the actors in the market that should be driving these constraints, and what capacity do they have. Then we deliberately look for partners to collaborate with so that we can bring that capability first and foremost in the country. So whether that capability is global, we will find it, we will support countries to acquire that capability. And one of the areas that I would like to point out is, for example, the academia. We only have 2 PhD experts in this sector. We are competing with China that has 68% of all global expertise in the sector. How do we bring some of that capability in the country to build a resilient and competitive sector? I think those are the questions that we need to begin to ask ourselves, because we can fix the MSME approach, but will that be resilient? And if you look at the numbers, we're saying that out of the, how many SMEs do we have? I think we've got about 90% of the SMEs fail in 2 years. The question is, why do they fail? We could give them orders, we could give them skill, we could give them technology, but if they don't know how to trade, because this is private sector, you must be able to compete efficiently and effectively to be able to gain that number in the bottom line. And that is what we can be able to bring to this market. So we also scan the environment, we monitor. I am happy to see that we are beginning to do some work with Invest in Africa, because data is the new oil. If we cannot be able to aggregate the numbers in textiles and apparel, for example, on this platform, and cannot be able to connect this to global buyers, then we are having a disconnected formula in the sector. And those are some of the questions that my team and I will be looking at. Then we do. So we do not only do the analysis, we do not only bring the expertise in the room, we also get our hands dirty. So we will run interventions directly with actors in the market, and we are looking out for partners to work with. So if you're in this sector and would like to begin to do some work with us, we're happy to have those conversations. We're happy to connect you with others that are probably better than us, because we don't think we have everything, and then be able to see how to transform this sector in the long run. But our bigger picture is the global value chain. Africa is only contributing 1% to the global textiles and apparel sector. And with all the trade wars happening between the US and China, the opportunity is now. Unfortunately, the opportunity is in the next 24 months. So we need to get our act together, and we need to move pretty fast. Our approach is very clear. We convene, we bring large players in the market, we bring pioneer farm approaches. So let's get the best guys that are happening. I mean, Mars just signed an order the other day. How else can we be able to get Mars to just discharge 5% of its raw materials into the market? Because one of the issues that we realized when we went to Gaborone was that the traders were saying we don't have access to raw materials, just the fabric. They're buying it very expensively, paying very expensive taxes for it. But if we got a large player in the region and gave them a 5% target to discharge what they call, by the way, you know, the off materials that they won't be able to take to a global market, that can create transformative growth with SMEs. And that is the good news. But, thank you. So we must milk that opportunity. We must milk that opportunity. But when the buyers come, when the large players come, they say the politics is too much. Are we feeding people on too much politics? People need to earn money. People need to be able to earn a living. And we're really talking about a risk of having over 12 million people unemployed, and we must be able to get them jobs. So again, data, 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 data. We want partners to work in this space, to aggregate this across gender, across counties, across different components of the value chains, because investors need this information to make business decisions to invest. If today, you know, we were in Gaborone the other day, and we were asking, so how many of the 700 tailors are actually doing the typical cut, make, and tailor? We couldn't get those numbers. How many are experts at just doing jackets? We couldn't get those whatevers. But we're saying go into an SEZ zone. Why can we not create a zone within that complex itself, get a large player to take off their orders and give them a discharge, and allow them to build the domestic market along the next 5 years? The domestic market won't come until our people's GDP is way above $2,000. I think that's the reality. Thank you. And then lastly, we need to be able to do a hybrid. You know, rightly so, we've been talking about a domestic market, but the domestic market, the reality of us being competitive and beating China is not going to happen now, but it can happen in 10 years. If we look at the Indian approach, India took a domestic market approach because they've got numbers. They've got large-scale numbers. We're just about less than 50 million people. When I ask this across the room, people are only buying about 2 to 3 garments a month. We need people to be able to buy 2 garments a day for us to become competitive. When is that ever going to happen? That's the reality, yeah? So we need a hybrid approach in which we take a long-term export market approach, be deliberate about building the medium tier approach, and then sustainability with our micro, small enterprises. And that takes an organization like Msingi, which's got a long-term approach to this sector. We are happy to support you to support the country in many ways, but this is our worry. 14 million unemployed Kenyans by 2030 is a trend that is facing us all today. These young people that are educated, the beauty, they are highly connected with a telephone. How can we leapfrog technology and embed them in the global value chain, but with world-class standards? How can we do that? It's possible. It's just having the right conversations with the right people. FDIs are preferring to come into Kenya, but most of them will say there are no pipelines, there are no businesses to support. That is a reality. If we incubate these businesses over a long time, in the next 3 to 5 years, we'll have very strong, good businesses that will be fundable. And our analysis states that the current constraint is actually not capital. It's not capital. Our product is not defined, our quality is not measurable, we cannot be able to consistently make this jacket every day and you're making 100,000 jackets a day. We can't. So that is the capability we need to bring. But ultimately, this is a market. I focused again on just apparel, textiles and apparel. Potentially, Bwana CS, it's a 1.2 billion market. We need to be able to move from 500 today to become an actual 1.2 billion market and create sustainable quality jobs for our young people. Lastly, Msingi is here for the region. Msingi is here for Kenya. Together, we can make this happen. Thank you very much.
You are development. Thank you so much. Isn't that exciting? I always say that whatever anybody says, anything called apparel, as long as there are women, there's going to be business. So the sooner we crack on and start to, we can own all these jackets, 5, 6, 7 in exactly the same style in different colors, very, very happily and very, very comfortably. But why are we going out to do that? Why are we going to look? I am ashamed to say this one is from one of our neighbors from the West. And I keep saying, why are we not able to do the same and have the same industry in this country? So thank you so much. So that has covered the partners, the private sector, the development side of the agenda today. So now I want to switch gear and move to the public sector. And the first person I'm going to invite here is the Chief Officer of Trade, Nairobi County, Fred Nzioki, or Kamunzu, as I used to know him. And because this case study that was shared by Ansetse was actually done in Nairobi country. And what we want them to talk to is what work the county is going to be doing to support MSMEs in this particular space that we're talking to today and in other spaces. So Fred, over to you. Come and share with us what the county is committing to do. Thank you.
Our chief guest, Honorable Peter Munya, PS Betty Maina, I think she's left, Ann Mutai, the country representative of IIA, all the representatives of the various partners here, Msingi, Invest in Africa, ODI, all protocols observed. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Frederick Nzioki. I'm the Chief Officer for Trade and Industry, Nairobi City County, the government of Nairobi City County. I'm here to represent the Deputy County Secretary, who was supposed to be speaking here, but nevertheless, I have a message that we were supposed to deliver today. I would like to remind you about the vision of Nairobi City County. Our vision is about creating a city of choice to invest, work, and live, and that's Nairobi. We want to make Nairobi the city of choice to invest, work, and live. And so, remember, the first thing is to invest. And investment is about business, and so that's what is of priority in Nairobi. Everyone in the country comes to Nairobi to do business. First, when you do anything, you know, you do your studies up country, but when you want to do business, everybody aspires to come to Nairobi. So we would like to make Nairobi the place to invest, first of all, and then, of course, an apt city where you can work and live. Now, speaking to today's topic about what are we doing about MSMEs, I would like to refer back to the manifesto of the governor, His Excellency Mike Mbuvi Sonko. When he unveiled his manifesto, he had 7 pillars, but I would just like to focus on one, and that pillar was about jobs, employment, and wealth creation. That's a big challenge in Nairobi. Now, I'm sure every time you drive along many roads, first of all, Jogoo Road, you drive along Outer Ring Road, you drive along Ngong Road, you see very many people enterprising, doing a lot of things, even along Gikomba, Landis Road, very many enterprises, very many people coming up. I mean, naturally, Kenyans are very enterprising. Now, this is not as much as we keep on fighting with them, but as a government, we encourage them because this is what they came to do. It's about they're doing their own investment, carrying out their own enterprise in the way they know. And so we have looked at this environment and found a number of challenges, about 5 or 6 challenges. First of all, this is not the apt environment, it's not a suitable environment for them. And so we'd like to do something about it. When we delve into it a little bit, we find that these people, about productivity is a problem. You find that somebody can actually be able to sit the whole day, and specifically I can talk about Kariakor. You find that somebody is able to just manufacture a few shoes the whole day, a few pairs of shoes. This is not, we cannot compete. We cannot compete with China. We cannot compete with India and so on and so forth. We also talk about quality, the quality of the products, because what we talk about Jua Kali, when we talk about Jua Kali is basically a name for a shortcut or something that is not of the international quality. So we have a challenge on quality. We also have challenges about branding. These people actually, what they do, they just quickly make a product. They just want to make ends meet out of it. And so they don't have the sensitization. They are not sensitized about the need for branding, for developing strong brands. And also, when you talk about market access, there's also a problem. I think we've been talking about linkages and market access, and so on and so forth. And then finally, something about entrepreneurship, sustainability. We've had 90% of MSMEs fail. So we don't want, it's not a good picture because a lot of times they fail, and when the MSME fails, it's a loss to a family because that's what they were depending on. Now, so what are we doing as a county government with regard to this? First of all, we are creating, our responsibility as a county government is to create an enabling environment. And so the first thing we're doing is we have realized as a county government, we require lots of resources. We have our brother, the national government, in quick, they're available quickly, and we can be able to latch onto a lot of policy measures and a lot of resources that the national government can avail to us. And so we have a lot of partnerships. In fact, right now we are working like 5-6 projects that we are doing with the national government. The second thing that we're doing is creating housing and facilities for MSMEs. We have markets that we are building. Right now, we are building about 10 markets in Nairobi County. Through partnership with World Bank, through partnership with the national government, we have a market that is almost complete in Westlands. We have a market that is almost complete in Mwariro. We have another market in Karandini. We have another market in Eastlands along Kangundo Road. We have another market that we've just started building up in Gikomba. We have a market that we are refurbishing in City Park. We have another market that we are doing in Karen. And we also have another market in Kibera that we are refurbishing. So we have taken this as a big priority, and we are committing more than 350 million towards refurbishment of these markets. That is as a county government, but we are latching on to another more than 2 billion through Access World Bank and through the national government to refurbish and build up new trading spaces, because we would like to move these people out of the roads onto places which are a bit more habitable and which are decent. We also do a lot of exposure to markets. First of all, what comes to mind, the Nairobi International Trade Fair, that's one. Actually, as a sector, the biggest exhibition space that we give is to MSMEs. If you visit Nairobi County Government stand, you find lots of MSMEs that we create space for, and this is an opportunity for them to interact with all the rest of the people, the showgoers. We also take them for other exhibitions outside the county, and where possible, we also take some to Tanzania. Last year, we took a few to Tanzania, and we would also like to create other forums where they can be able to exhibit their products. Internally, we realize that as a county government, we can be one of the biggest consumers. Yesterday, His Excellency the Governor unveiled a big TVET, that is a training college that is for voluntary skill development in Dandora, and that facility is supposed to train mechanics and to train also on clothes, textile manufacture and so on and so forth. So the county government actually committed that we are going to source our uniforms for our inspectorate staff from that facility. And so as we develop these other facilities, Jogoo Road, as we develop Kariakor, we are going to be sourcing our uniforms, not from outside the country, but from these facilities. So we realize that we are a very big consumer. We don't need to import. We actually will source most of our products, most of our uniforms, textiles from these facilities. That's a very big market for them. We also are creating, I've spoken about trade fairs. We have created a fund. We are in the process of developing the legal framework for a fund, because we realize also that most of our MSMEs require funding, and we are very soon going to unveil the Nairobi County Trade Fund, which is going to assist in terms of availability of financing, because we require, they require some good financing and some friendly terms. We're not competing with the banks, but there's something that we can be able to do in that regard. So it's going to be about 30 or 40 million at first, and then we can grow it slowly with time to about 100 or so million. We have also developed what we call the Nairobi Marshall Plan, the Nairobi Markets Marshall Plan. The Nairobi Markets Marshall Plan is supposed to create, now when we look at Nairobi, for example, we have about 6 million people in the day. We did a study funded by JICA, and we found that at least the best way to serve Nairobi as we require a market for every 25,000, at least a trading or an MSME facility for every 25,000 people. Now, that works out to about 300 markets. Right now, Nairobi County, as we speak, we just have about 50 markets. So we have a big deficit of markets and trading spaces. The Nairobi County Markets Marshall Plan, we are going to build more than 200 markets. We are in the process of identifying the spaces, we are identifying the lands, and because of the need to fast track this, we need to be in partnership. We are looking for partners, financial partners, as well as private partners. But because we realize that we do not have a legal framework, proper legal framework, so we are going to relook at our PPP legal framework to see how we can be able to partner and quickly develop trading spaces for all these people. Finally, Nairobi County Government is open for business. We are ready to partner and we are ready to facilitate MSMEs because that is our mandate. That is what we are here for, and we would like to make Nairobi the city to invest and work and live. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Fred. Good to hear that side of the county. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Susie Kitchens, a Deputy High Commissioner at the British High Commissioner, who just joined us in the last half hour. Welcome, Susie. So now I will invite Anne Mutai. Anne is a senior advisor to the Office of the President on SME development, and she has a wealth of experience in private sector as an entrepreneur and of course in the public sector. The SME Advisory Unit serves to increase SME productivity and contribution to economic growth via SME engagement, research, oversight, coordination, and partnership development. And I really would like to acknowledge Anne because she was the one who brought all these parties together today. Thank you so much, Anne. Come and say something, and then you will invite our guest of honor this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Patricia. Our Honorable CS, Peter Munya, Minister of Industry and Trade and Cooperatives, Mr. Fred Zioka, representing Trade from Nairobi County Council, Nairobi County, Agi Konde, Regional CEO of Musingi, Wangeshi Murioki, Country Manager of Invest in Africa, and Zet Sewere, our renowned, it's good to celebrate ourselves, development economist and representing ODI, and also representing the SME Advisory, Kingsley, Noreen, and Modoni, as well as the chairs of Career Corps and Uhuru Market. Good morning. It's wonderful to see us all here, and I want to also just celebrate the partnership and linkage between the three partners of ODI, Invest in Africa, and Musingi. We're talking about partnerships, we're talking about linkages, this is one of them. Now, I do want to also belabor the point of the importance of SMEs. I think we've all heard the data, we're all aware. And we've heard the data on statistics on the importance to the economy. But there's a part that we very often overlook, and that is SMEs are so important to our social fabric. The DNA of Kenyans is actually in SMEs. Whenever we've ever had some furugus in this country, who do you go to get your milk? Is it the supermarket? Is it that big supermarket who are closed? Is that kiosk who's around the corner? Who is it who is able to give you services? So in terms of even our peace and stability, we need to recognize our SMEs. I think is a very, very important part. Now, even as we talk about linkages and growing markets, training and funding, why are we doing that? The reason is because we recognize that we need to grow our SMEs. Very often we're not able to distinguish between a very small SME, a medium, or a bigger SME. And the truth of the matter is that economies that thrive have a huge store of what I'd call medium SMEs. And for the purpose of this discussion, I want to call them the missing middle. There's a missing middle that we don't have in our country, that I think all our policy initiatives, all our efforts, all our training actually goes to trying to make sure that the one who started small is able to grow. And I liked the example that the lady gave from Turkana, where she described how she was able to grow from where she was. We need to do a lot more of that. I think when we look at the definitions, every single country throughout the world has a very different definition of SMEs. This is one of the areas that even as Kenyans, we haven't really been able to crack. How do we define our SMEs? And the importance of definition is so that we can actually address the areas. today I would like to just maybe suggest another definition. That is, we have startups. We all know about startups. We all know how they tend to fail within the first 2 years. We have what we call survivors, which I think are the majority of our MSMEs. You know, they're actually surviving. They're not thriving and they're not growing. And then there's this missing middle, this medium entity that we actually need to focus on. And when you look at even the data, for instance, if you look at manufacturing, and I'm sure we've seen some of the data there, we have a very strange situation there, where we have a situation where only 5% of our big companies, only 5% contribute over 65% of the output in manufacturing. And then we have the converse, where only 20% is represented by 95 MSMEs. So we have 95 SMEs who are not producing to the level and the capacity that they should do. Now, I know our minister is here, and I know he's going to address all these things, and he's more, in fact, he's very much, he's able to look at the big picture and to connect all the different dots. But I do want to suggest that probably one of the areas that we need to really look at as a country, as a government, is focus on maybe just 4 key areas. And that is, when you look at the constraints that a lot of SMEs have, they'll talk to you about taxation, they'll talk to you about legislation, they'll talk to you about all the little rules that are there that do not prevent them, that rather prevent them from formalizing. The truth of the matter is, when institutions try to formalize, they are met with a whole list of very many regulations that push them back into informality. And maybe that is one of the things that we need to do. If you look at Kenya Power, what they've done is that they've been able to come up with a new classification for SMEs, where they're able then to access actually a lower tariff. But guess what? Most SMEs don't even want to be classified there. Why? Because once they do, who's going to get to know them? KRA, I don't know, sanitation, NCC here, you know? So maybe one of the things we need to do is also agree, what's the classification for SMEs? You know, a specific one where they're able to access, have incentives that will enable them to grow. That's one of the things we can look at. We've talked about enabling SMEs to have access to import of materials. And as Aggie said, just go down to Gaborone, go down to Nairobi Trade Center, and they'll tell you that, in fact, they feel very bad, by the way, Mr. CS, that in EPZ, they're able to export textiles at a 0 rated tax. Yet they, who are also producing for Kenyans, are charged 30%. They really feel very, very bitter about that. They start to think that they're second-class citizens. Can we agree that SMEs are our first-class citizens and treat them accordingly? I think it's very, very important. Secondly, I think it's important that we even look at labor legislation and how labor moves around and how we're going to encourage even skilled labor to actually be able to access or rather to give support. For instance, what is it that we can do to encourage even university students to agree to go and work in SMEs and give them some kind of support there? Are we going to say that for the first 1 year when you start working, you won't pay a tax because you've been able to work for this SME or for this cluster? There's lots of different ways that we can come together and agree how we can support even good labor. The last one is access to finance, and I'm happy to see that Nairobi County and many other initiatives are driving towards making sure that there's access to finance. I was just having a very informal chat with the Deputy High Commissioner, Susie Kitchens, and she said that they're also looking from their side on seeing how they can also come up with a fund to assist SMEs. Now, let's all agree, and there's been studies done by FSD, actually there's a lot of financing out there. Isn't that correct? If it's not through your mobile phone, it's from, you know, these mobile platforms and from banks. But there's a specific kind of finance that is not there. And that is the one that is for growth. If I'm an SME and I want to import machinery, do I really have to do it with piecemeal financing. That is short-term financing paid after 3 months, keep going, keep going, keep going. Why can't I get financing for 3 years that will now enable me to grow? That's the kind of financing that is actually lacking and that we need to structure. And you're structuring it on the back of the fact that that SME doesn't have the collateral that you require. So we need to be very innovative in making sure that they're actually very well financed. There's more dialogue that is required between all of us, but I also want to throw a challenge to SMEs who, many of them are here and organized in associations. Those associations need to be stronger. And I know that the chairs of 2 of them are here. They need to be more organized. When we go to those associations, we're never able to get data. We don't know how many of you are medium, how many of you are large. You know, we need to see you becoming more cohesive so that we can dialogue with you. So I'm also saying that let's not just put everything on the government. There's a lot of work for SMEs to also do, self-organize. Very often when government comes, what they say is, lakini wako hapi? You know, these SMEs, where are they? I talked to one group this year, next year, hakuna wengine. So we need to also be very, very specific to know that this is our country, this is our economy, and for all of us to take part in it as SMEs, I think it's very important that we also play our part. So with those very few remarks, it's my great pleasure to invite our Honorable CS, Peter Munya, Ministry of Industry, Trade and Cooperatives. Mr. Munya is a great support to SMEs who he understands completely, inside and out, having been governor, as you know, of Meru, where he dealt with them in every single day. So welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anne Mutai, Senior Advisor to the President on SME sector, the leaders of the other partner institutions that have done this work that has brought us here today, ODI, Msingi, Invest in Africa, and of course the leadership of the SMEs and other business leaders that have been invited here this morning. Let me start by really thanking the team for very good work that they have done in producing this report that has helped us have a scan, have a peep into the SME sector to look at what needs to be done to bring transformation and to catalyze growth of this very, very, very important sector. I know, of course, the standard did not study all the value chains, but the standard has focused on a very, very important sector. Garment, textiles, and clothing, a sector that is very, very important for our economy. In fact, looking at the figures, looking at the statistics, it is the sector that gave the manufacturing sector some numbers to talk about this last financial year in terms of contribution, because it's a sector that grew by 14% when the overall manufacturing sector grew by a paltry 0.4%. So looking at, you know, the sector, they choose the right sector to study because it's a sector that is already growing and has a huge room for growth, and therefore be able to create the jobs that are required. It is also a sector that has very heavy SME participation. If you have been involved in this work, you see this is very strong clusters of SMEs that are in this sector that could do with a lot of support, but that are managing to do, you know, something even in the difficult circumstances within which they are operating. So this report is critical, and I just want to state from the outset that we are happy with this report, and as a government we are ready to work with you to implement the findings. You specifically looked at three key recommendations, and I remember even yesterday we met with the county governors, and we have agreed to be meeting at least monthly to see how we can be able to streamline the interface and the working relationship between the national government and the counties. And again, talking about the SMEs, I don't know how you can work well and transform the SME sector without working with counties. Because SMEs are county-based. They are the grassroots. All these clusters we are talking about, Nairobi and the governor, the Cs in charge of the county has talked very well. Our county, they have small businesses, therefore they are based in the counties. Even though they have those linkages with the bigger businesses and they supply them and they are participating in the bigger value chains, they are largely county-based, grassroots-based businesses, small businesses that require a proper linkage between the national government and the counties for them to be assisted to grow, for us to be able to address the challenges that are constraining those sectors. And the basics, some of them are basic, very basic, like the ones he was talking about, a clean working space. If you go to Kariako, you see the workforce, the people working there in very deplorable circumstances, trying to earn a living, trying to produce for the economy, to contributing to employment, but the environment, basic sanitation is not there. Basic. They are working like they are coming from some cave. There's manging. Somebody is trying to do some work on his shoes, but there is no, the roof is touching almost here, so he has to work. So I want to join, the team that was, presenting the report, that some of the things are really very basic. Very basic, decent working spaces for SMEs. Decent working spaces, proper sanitation, a space that you can place the instruments, it's a place to sit, basic services, basic equipment. That again, we've been working with the county, with the advisory to provide in some of those working spaces, common user facilities that we are trying to provide across the country, and that we want also to work with MSEA and KIA to provide those working spaces and the basic equipment. Really, I don't want to go into a lot of speech making. I just want to say I'm very happy with this report. I'm very happy with the team. I'm told the first linkage they did was this one. Even as the theme was discussing linkages in the sector. They themselves had to do a linkage to deliver this forum today, isn't it? So it already shows how important creating linkages is. If at that level that is also required, what about at the bottom level where we are trying to bring transformation? And they did, as the theme clearly tells us, you can't build an inclusive economy. An inclusive economy where you ensure everybody is part of it without focusing on the SME sector. And the statistics have been given, if 80% of the people are employed in this sector, 1/3 of the GDP is generated by this sector. So 30% of our GDP is this sector. So if you are focusing, if you want to really bring real transformation in terms of jobs, in terms of wealth creation, in terms of poverty alleviation, in terms of providing long-term stability for the country, and Anna has talked about that. Stability means also jobs, stability means inclusivity. Stability means people don't feel left out. Swaths of population being left out. Even feeling you are part of this country, being proud is part of being able to feel that you are part of it. So there is no other sector really we need to focus more, put all our energies in terms of looking at how to address these constraints. And I really want to thank those who are already putting their resources, the development partners who are working with us. I see the Deputy High Commissioner of UK here with us. She has just come from another forum also focusing on the same. I think we all synergize, all of us, in what we are doing. We see how to structure what we are doing so that these linkages are created. So that if I'm doing something and there is something missing and you are already doing that other thing, you are addressing what is missing, then we are able to create that linkage. We can create those linkages so that we are properly structured to deal with the bigger picture and the smaller picture also down there. I think you can go very far. Don't you think so? I think we can. So basically, as government, we are saying we are ready. The president himself is one who leads in this, in trying to address the constraints in this particular. He has been leading from the front himself. Why do you think he has created this advisory? Are we the ones who told him to create it? No, it must have sat down and thought this is an important sector. I need to address it. So his heart is here. We just need to support him. Those of us who have been given the jobs, those who are also involved in this sector, the business people, the SMEs, let's come together, work with him, work together to bring transformation in this sector. And I wanted to also revisit the issue Anna has raised about getting organized. The sector getting organized. SME sector is, of course, diverse, very varied, and therefore, because of that, very many associations, different groupings. But getting organized also helps you in terms of impacting on even policy. Because governments are also driven. Governments are political. Don't you think so? So, for you to, I'm not saying we really, that's what we need to, we can't wait for that. We are already, some of us are already believing in the SME sector, and that's why we are working. But I'm saying, for your voice to be heard, for you to be able to impact on policy, you need to get organized, better organized. So that even government, when we want to interface with you, we know whom we are dealing with in an organized way. When you want to raise your issues, you are able to raise. And I remember that is one of the reasons why MSEA was set up. And some of the directors who are in MSEA actually, the SME leadership. But we need to go beyond the bureaucracy that comes with institutions to see how we can have proper interface between MSEA, that has been given by law that mandate to lead in the transformation in the SME sector, and especially the informal sector and the Juakali sector, clearly spelled in its mandate. We see how we get organized to be able to work together to reach where we want to reach. But even as we say this, are we saying government has not done anything? No, we've done quite some work. We've done quite some work. We are already doing a lot of work, and we want to continue doing. In the manufacturing sector, if I can go back to the basics, which is part of the Big Four agenda, our target, if you look at the pillar, our targets, number one, we want to grow the contribution of the manufacturing sector to the GDP up to 15%, from currently 9% or slightly less than 9%, to grow it to 15%. That is one of the targets. The other target is to create 1 million jobs. 1 million jobs. I'm talking about the manufacturing sector alone. The other sectors will also be creating their own jobs. We are saying we are targeting the manufacturing sector alone to create 1 million jobs. And then the other key target is to, of course, bring down or improve our ease of doing business tremendously, so that we are in the top 50 in the World Bank Ease of Doing Business report that looks at how we have addressed the constraints of the bottlenecks that make it difficult for businesses to thrive. We target to come down to 50%, to number 50 in the ranking. We are now at number 61. We've done tremendous improvement, and we want to thank, the partners who have worked with us in systematically dealing with those constraints to reach where we are. Coming down from 61 to 50 is more difficult, because when you are beginning, it's easier, you can address all those other issues. You come down, as you come down, it becomes more difficult, because the other countries are also working, they are not sleeping. There's nobody waiting for you. So it becomes more difficult. Therefore, the target is to increase our FDI, foreign direct investment into the country, 5 times. 5 times. What we are receiving now, we increase the inflow 5 times. Of course, the first target is very difficult. The first target, I don't want to say it is unrealistic, but it's quite difficult. To grow our economy, to have a share of GDP of that percentage, you need to outgrow all the other sectors, because the other sectors will also grow, they're also growing, and when they grow, they delete. Because you are talking about your share. You are talking about the share. You are not talking about the growth on its own. You are looking at the overall share. So it's not easy. But should we set up easy targets? No. We have to set up proper targets that we can be able to strive to reach. FDI, I believe we can be able to do it. We can. We've been able to already do a lot of stimulation of FDI. The ease of doing business is part of also making the country attractive, dealing with the challenges of making also our environment and competitive. In comparison with our region, we are also working very hard to do that. We have now, at the cabinet level, passed the investment policy that many investors have been asking. What is your investment policy? You are telling us, oh, you give us these incentives. But where is it? We don't even have a document that can tell us, in the next 10 years, these are the tax rebates you are giving us. So we concluded that process. We have now an investment policy that has been passed by the cabinet, that somebody can refer to and say, yes, if I invest in Kenya, I'm entitled to these tax breaks for the next 10 years. So I can invest knowing that there will be no interruptions to my investments. There will be no shock policy decisions within the next 10 years, or so. So that policy is already there in place, and therefore I think it's a milestone. We are now looking at the implementation. We've created a council of, investment council that will be led by the president himself. He will be the chairman, deputy the minister in charge of investments and trade. And then we have looked at what we need to do in all the sectors. We also coordinating some of the challenges that make investors have a difficult environment when they are coming in. For example, streamline issues of work permits so that there is clarity, so that you don't have to give too much discretion to bureaucrats when you're asking for work permits. So we've set up an institution that will be looking, and then we'll be saying, if you bring this kind of investment, how many work permits are you entitled to? So that you don't have to go negotiate. Becomes, as of right, you are entitled to those work permits. And then there will be the council to look at that. We are also looking at sectors, various sectors, what kind of incentives we have, etc. I am sure once we launch it, because it's now passed, we will be able to talk about it more. In the issue of competition in the region, and I think somebody was also talking about Ethiopia and other places, and I'm happy that other people have confirmed. If I confirm myself, I will be told it's because I am in government and I'm defensive. Kenya remains very competitive. Kenya is very competitive. And a lot of business and investors who talk to us, they always come and say, we would want to invest here. Your economy is very resilient. Your financial sector is very well entrenched. It has very strong global linkages. We will get the support we require. Your workforce is very well trained. We require very, very little training. It's very well oriented in terms of work ethics and all that. So they say many of our issues, many of our factors that are required when an investor is coming, we have them right, but you have a few of them that you need to address. A few of them. Many of them talk about power. Because all industries are powerful. Whatever we talk about all these things. One key enabler for industries, even small ones, even the cottage ones, power. Your power is expensive. Compare with the rest of the region, Ethiopia. In fact, Ethiopia, one of the biggest attractiveness is power. We have legacy issues. Oh, can't say somebody, I just came in the other day, I can't be responsible for issues that happened. I take responsibility because I'm government, but I can't also be told if somebody came some 15 years ago and brought in expensive investments, why should somebody who took over the other day be the one to be responsible for it? We take responsibility in the sense that we will address them, but somebody has to understand there is somebody who made wrong decisions in the past, so that when you are looking into the future, you are also careful about the people you put in there to be in charge. Isn't it? But am I saying we are not addressing them? We are. In fact, we have just concluded, we concluded a few weeks ago, new power rebates for industries and the small businesses that will significantly bring down the cost of power for industries, for businesses, both big and small. And I think it's just an assessment that is waiting, because there was a technical committee that looked at it. Private sector participated, KEPSA, KEM, in that discussion, and there was that agreement. We are just waiting to agree, to set those rebates that will again bring down power, cost of power in a big way. But we are also, I'm talking about all these things because they also impact on SMEs. These are general things that are useful. They are of the big businesses, but they also are of the SMEs. Because SMEs also require affordable power. We are now busy actually implementing our strategy on creating special economic zones and big industrial zones. And even in those industrial zones, we want to put sectors for SMEs. We want to make sure that SMEs are not left out when the bigger industries come to locate there. And for example, in Naivasha, the Naivasha industrial zone, the president will be launching it in August. He'll be laying the foundation stone. The designs are complete. We've gotten 1,000 acres. That one is bigger than Hawassa, that is talked about, the Hawassa industrial zone in a neighboring country. So employ a lot of people. In fact, if you look at the number of people, it's likely close to 100,000 people will be able to work there. You look at the forward and backward linkages, you see it's a lot of people. And the biggest advantage for that particular industrial zone, because industrial zones also come with special incentives, is rental. We bring rental because we want to do the entire design. We are working with private sector to do the investment in terms of building, but we want to ensure the rentals are very low. Accessibility to infrastructure that is required, power and water is super, and internet also affordable. And above all, we want to provide power at almost cost. at the level of generation cost. Then we become the most competitive. Now, if we are on destination, as you are saying, and we have addressed the issue that they are saying is the biggest, then why won't the inflows continue? I think they will increase. So Naivasha is taking off. Dongo Kundu is also taking off. Dongo Kundu will be a big free zone with a free port, with all the other service industries, with, even the other industries. It is a whole huge zone that we are putting up that will put Kenya again as the real now gateway, strategic advantage of being a gateway to East and Central Africa. And again, that also, the issues that were there have been resolved. We are moving into now planning and implementing. I think, I didn't tell you, we are also concluding the issue of the creation of the fund now when I come to SME, the SME fund that is envisioned in the MSEA Act. There is a team already drawing, coming up with the regulations so that that fund will take off. That will be targeting especially those SMEs that are unable to access funding in the normal way in the private sector. That will, because it's not a big fund, it will not address all the challenge. We still believe the private sector is the one that can drive credit, provide provision of credit, but we know there are gaps that government has to keep addressing, and that's why we are setting up that fund. So already I know in the budget, already I think it's several billions have been put there to support the SMEs in getting credit for them to do their small businesses. But we need to move forward and also conclude the guarantee scheme that we have been talking about. The guarantee scheme that will now unlock the capacity that is already there within the private sector, and that is there also with the development partners who are already focusing on this area. And that's why I was saying we really need to see how we can structure ourselves, create these linkages so that we don't have isolated initiatives that could be able to build into a bigger impact if we had some structured engagement. And we said this guarantee fund will be dependent. Government will just participate as a partner. The other development partners participate. The private sector, the banks also participate. And even the management becomes transparent and independent so that nobody, the other bureaucracy that also comes with government, doesn't come and constrain this institution from delivering. So I think we need to move forward and conclude this so that we can be able to move this sector forward in terms of addressing the challenge of access to credit. And I just want to conclude by saying this problem of access to credit is real. It is real. We are not saying there is no capital out there. It is there, but accessing it, accessing that capital is, especially for SMEs and even medium enterprise, it is a real problem. I went to visit just visit the industries in the export processing zone a few months ago. I went to 3 factories. One factory is in this sector. It has huge orders in the US and even in EU for clothes, those big, those big, the big names out there, those big brands. This particular factory that is there, that is actually an investment from, I think it's Sri Lanka or Indonesia. Big factory employing very many people there. Big factory. They have even a very nice place where they have even a nursery where kids from the workers are taken care of. I was very happy with that. so that those who are working, especially ladies, in fact, a lot of the employees in EPCN are women. What is their biggest problem? Access to credit. And what credit do they require? Short-term borrowing for them to supply and then be repaid. I ask them, I mean, the money you ask me is big money. You are not an SME. And you have the owners that would probably act like collateral or whatever. I don't know. I don't work in the banks. I don't know how they assess collaterals and determine this collateral or not. But I hear commitment on owners like those sometimes are treated as collateral. Have you talked to our banks to get this money? We have tried. We can't succeed. And they didn't just 90 days credit window, 90 days. And they were telling me that's why they can't expand. You can see they have room for expansion. They have orders. They can't give themselves commitment for extra from those who make orders for them because of that constraint. Where do they get their money from for using? They told me from their home country. Then they told me, I told them, well, but at least you are able to get the money. Why are you worried? And I said that they were taken aback. Have we invested in that country so that we should be getting money from there? I mean, we are investing here. I went to another one that is dealing with basically French beans and vegetables, horticulture, packing them and, adding value and sending in the supermarket in EU. I just want to conclude by giving those two examples. They have put their lines, they are washing those things and packing them and preserving them. They are really adding value, and they are dealing with these small farmers across the country to supply them. They told me they want to put another line. And there was space there, I couldn't see where they want to put. What is their problem? They can't get 100 million. So there is, now, I've given examples of quite big, those are not SMEs, because they are employing many people, and they are medium level enterprises. They are not SMEs. If I go to SMEs, bigger. That's the biggest constraint in SMEs. So there is a problem. There is a problem in terms of access to credit, which we need to address, and this instrument we want to create can really go a long way if we can be able to work together to open that big window where development factor, investors, people want to just put in money and make some money, we'll put in money there in that basket, and then people can, SMEs can access this money, and we are saying we are ready as a government to work with you to arrive at that destination. So really, thank you very much. We are also ready to work in the implementation, and I think MUSEA and the KIA would be KIA has been doing a lot of incubation over the years. It has a lot of expertise in terms of incubation, but they also require partners. MUSEA is waking up after being there for I don't know how long by just name, but it is now waking up. It has started the work. We are happy with even development partners who have been working with them. The World Bank has really done a good job with them. They have started a program of training youth. They have been doing some training across the country, and they are saying they want to upscale that program. So we are also again ready to see if we can partner with those people who have the expertise, yourselves here. And I'm happy to see these partner institutions are largely led by women. Did you notice that yourselves, or am I the only one? Including the advisory. And you can see the atmosphere is different. They are very passionate, they are dynamic, they are focused, they know where they want to go, and you can see them going there. Do you agree with me? I think we'll make a big difference with this leadership. So we want to work together. Thank you very much for inviting us for this launch. Looking forward to continuing with this good work.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, in the interest of time, we had hoped to allow for questions, and I'm under pressure to allow for just a couple of questions while we set up for the last two tasks that we have for you, Mheshimiwa. You thought you're only coming to talk, but there are a few other things we have in store for you. So can we just allow for just two questions, perhaps, one from that side and another one from this side? And in the interest of equity, because it's just been women leading this, they'll come from men. Your question, please. Can somebody pass him a mic? Thank you. And then the other question will come from this side. Let's have both questions asked, and then we move on.
Thank you very much, Honorable Secretary Peter Munya and the entire team. Thank you very much. This is a wonderful intervention. The CS and the people in the room is, in leather sector in particular, we have had from 2015 up to now 5 reports implemented in a manner like this. But one thing that I'm also asking is, are we going to also integrate the reports that we have? And some of them, like the World Bank one on the leather sector, had even action plans that none of them, or very few, have been put into place. So my question to the CS is, how are you integrating the same reports that we have for the industrial self-promotion? There's one that we had for USAID, we had the one for the World Bank, and then we have this one now. So it just gets us out of the research mode, because Kenya, for us to be industrialized, we cannot always be on a research mode. We must be having implementation and programs and timelines that must be met. Private sector, as you're telling us, like in the other sector, we are so organized. Now we have an umbrella. But accessing the government institutions sometimes, because they are at times they are so disintegrated, and yet they want to move towards one direction. So that is my only request, that let us be able to talk the talk and walk the talk, please.
First question, that how do we move to implementation, and how do we make sure we're creating the dropping of barriers that Anne actually alluded to around policy in order to make sure these things are actualized. The second question, and then you can respond to both.
Thank you so much. I'm Patrick Nyangweza. I work with the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I want to thank all the stakeholders, and more so the Ministry of Trade, for really taking lead to shape up and send a promissory note to the SMEs in Kenya. My question goes to the CS. We, the SMEs, and also the private sector, we really celebrated when you launched the National Trade Policy. Sometimes, I think it was May last year, if I can remember. But in that policy, you had really outlined setting up SME Enterprise Fund. And in all forums, when you go, I like the Mzingi report, but there is one thorn in the flesh for the SMEs, access to affordable finances, so that they can expand. What is the government doing to realize this? The last one is to appreciate the ministry. We have been pushing for really the investment policy. And now that we have national investment policy, I think the players in this room, we really need to capitalize on this to increase on domestic investment as private sector players. May God bless you for that. We are very grateful for that.
So the question there is, again, to finance. So can we give the Minister the mic so he can respond to those two questions?
Yes, I want to say that, of course, I was not talking about everything that the government is doing or has done. You have a forum, I'm sure the SME forum that the President promised will come. It's almost coming there, but we wanted to be sure we have done the key accomplishments that we had promised in Strathmore before he come for the meeting. And sometimes it's not that easy during implementation because you have many institutions, you have to deal with parliament, you have to deal with budgeting processes and all that. There are a lot of challenges. It's not easy. You have a policy decision made, you want to implement, the implementation becomes the most difficult thing because of the usual processes that we have to go through, that we have put for ourselves as a country. There is something called public participation. And it is an elaborate process. Anything you want to do, you have to go through meetings, build the stakeholders, whatnot. Then you have parliament, all those. Anyway, what I was saying simply is that I didn't talk about everything. I think standards are useful, and the standards are closely linked with action. There is no way you know, if you act without thinking, you become what? Actions must go in tandem with thinking. So research is thinking, because you have to think out a solution. Tunaelewana? So thinking out an issue through a process like a research like this is useful. So they go together. We want to stop standing, but we must also keep acting on the standards. And I have promised this one, we are going to implement with the development partners. But we've been doing a lot of interventions, as you've been told, in the SME sector. The report you gave us in Strathmore, we have, in fact, when we get the opportunity to give you in broad, in specific terms, what we have been able to achieve already. I already told you the fund is in the budget. We are concluding the regulations, and then the fund is set up. If you are waiting for all that long, and within a short time we have accomplished the decision, we are putting the money, and we put it there, it is coming. But we have said unlocking credits will require more than just government putting up money, because government does not have a lot of money. Money is out there in the private sector. It is addressing the challenges that make it difficult for you to access the money. That's why we are saying the credit guarantee scheme is most important, because government will be able to put in money to guarantee the risk that is involved in lending to SMEs. And then now, those who own money, because it's their money and they won't give it for free, then those ones can come in, can get the comfort they require to put in their money there, and then this window will open for SMEs. Now, other issues, MSEA, KIA are addressing the issues of registration, the issues of capacity building, the issues of training. The whole idea is actually make MSEA the one-stop center for formalization of SMEs, for data gathering. She talked about data, and you can't have data if you have no standing. You want to know how many SMEs you have, in which sector, in which value chain, what is their status. You need to do that mapping that is required and that they have done for this sector. We need to do the other value chains mapping also, so that we have the data we require to work on. I don't know what the other question was about.
You've answered both. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, thank you. So what I'd like to do, let me just move in the interest of time, please. I think
very brief. Thank you. Mine is to thank the organizers of this function. One, the research has been done and it has really captured on our issues. I'm Ben Mutahi. One thing that I appreciate is about the research that has been done by Msingi and ODI. They visited Nairobi Textile, where I'm the chair. We want a guarantee from CS Honorable Munya that we have been talking about the taxation on textile in comparison to EPZ, whereby they saw for themselves the kind of jobs that we are creating, the employment and the skills that are there. I would request that he pushes that request a step further, where we will be considered in terms of taxation when we are bringing in the textile garments and apparels. The last question goes to the City Council of Nairobi. They talked of markets. I would like them to visit Mudhurwa and other markets and see for themselves. Human beings are operating in conditions that are not human. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to, Mike, for response? Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's just that I didn't respond to all those issues, and because she works with me, and therefore she has made comments and proposals. We endeavor to go and implement, because we implement together, isn't it? It is very pertinent issue that SMEs need their own, their own. They need to be treated as a category in terms of taxes. They need to be separated from the mainstream system of taxing. Tunaelewana? And that's the point she was making. She made it in a more better language because she is trained in that area. And that's why we are saying the issues of formalizations, issues of registration and all that, we need a registrar of SMEs so that those SMEs are known, they are registered, and then they are put in a separate category in terms of taxations, in terms of those requirements that you are required in terms of certification, in terms of standards. We work with the institution to train them on standards, 12 of them meet the standards, all that road that is required. And that's why we are saying we need to quickly enable MSEA to do that work. If you look at the mandate Mutia is given, one of the mandates is registration of SMEs, keeping the database for SMEs, information for SMEs, training, capacity building. Then you look into issues of taxation. Can SMEs be also put in the same requirement that other bigger businesses are? No, they have to be treated as a category. The issue of EPSEND, getting more tax brackets, rebates than SMEs. That's an issue that also needs to be looked into. The difference, of course, is EPSEND are targeting exports, and those incentives were given because we are looking at our country as a country that is very weak in exports, and therefore we have problems on balance of payments because we import largely, we don't export. And to grow the export market, you need to encourage exporters. And you need also to see that even though it's the bigger companies that operate in EPSEND, even the SMEs provide the linkages that you talked about in the value chain, they are also participating. Tunaelewana? Now, we don't have to match them with EPSEND. We have said we need to create their own category of SMEs and see the tax rebates that we can give them that are comparable to the ones that are given in EPSEND, in the EPSEND zones. I think that is doable. It's possible to give some kind of affirmative action in terms of taxation to SMEs. Now, we need the experts in that area to help us come up with that kind of a code that will reduce the burden of taxation on SMEs. Obviously, we can't treat them as EPSEND because they are not EPSEND. So we have to create a separate category of SMEs for that purpose. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So now we're going to move to the next session. Thank you so much, Honorable Munya. So now we're going to invite you to launch the ODI report. This is the first part. We said we had two agendas today. One was to launch this report, and the second was to really celebrate the launch of the Invest in Africa platform. So I'd like to invite you onto the stage for the launch of the report, and this would be Ansese. Welcome to the stage as well to just introduce this particular session. Thank you so much. Where did that mic go? Thank you.
Is this one?
Thank you. It's just to formally welcome Honorable CS to the stage to just indicate that he has launched the report. We are very delighted for the support that both county government and national government in support and partnership with the Office of the President SME Advisory, and we are committed to doing our part in supporting the implementation of this report. So welcome, Honorable CS Peter Munya. Thank you.
Chair, just stand behind next to Ansetse, and yes, for the photo. Thank you. Thank you. Susie, I think if you're just to the, I think we move across this way a little bit. Thank you so much. Yep. I think, Anne, you need to come, somebody needs to come this side for balance. Thank you. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. So the report is officially launched. Thank you so much. And then, Honorable CS, now we're going to have the last bit, which is a lot of the celebration as we close the evening. And this is the cutting of the Invest in Africa anniversary cake. And I'm hoping the cake is coming forward. So this is the celebration for Invest in Africa, 2 years. And for this, I'm going to again invite you, Honorable Minister, to come forward. I'll invite William Poland from Invest in Africa to come forward. Please, Wangeshi. Yep. And then can I have Philip? And can I have Susan as the founding members of Invest in Africa, founder partners, to come forward so that we can cut this cake as well to celebrate 2 years of Invest in Africa. Welcome. Yes. Thank you. Yes, we'll all hold it. So this is Invest in Africa. Welcome. Founding partner. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. And it shall be shared round as we close the session. So, I would now like to move to close the session as the cake gets cut and shared round with a vote of thanks. And I think as I give my vote of thanks, the first thing I really want to say is for everybody who has stayed on, thank you so much for staying to the end of the session, listening to all the contributions. And in particular, I want to say a big thank you to our guest of honor today, Cabinet Secretary Honorable Peter Munya. Your passion has come through, and I think everybody sitting in this room is really looking forward to seeing the implementation and the work happen. Thank you so much for inspiring that confidence. To Anne, the Special Advisor to the President on SME Development, thank you for bringing all the parties together so that we can be here. To the event partners, to Aggie, thank you, of Musingi, thank you for supporting this and making this happen. To Invest in Africa, again, Wangeshi and the team, thank you for making this happen. To ODI, and of course, the SME advisory, advisory to the presidency, thank you so much for making this event happen. To our partners, all the partners who we have worked with and who have been on our journey, and many of them are still in the room and they were mentioned, starting with our founding partners, Tallow, Equity Bank, and all the others who are here today, who we listed in the beginning. We have AMSCO here, we have Stanbic who have stayed till the end. We have, let me see who are the others who are here. Safaricom who are also here. All our partners, thank you so much for being with us. To the SMEs who have walked the journey with us and shown the belief in what we're doing, thank you very much. To our non-executive directors and advisory board, thank you so much again for being here. To Nairobi County, for your support in everything we do, a big thank you. To the British High Commission, Invest in Africa is registered in the UK. Thank you, Susie, for being here this morning. Thank you for joining us, and thank you also for the support through the for the research through the ODI. For the teams behind the event, everybody who's done this, who's been there, worked tirelessly behind the scenes, in particular the teams of Musingi, all of whom were here, and the teams from Invest in Africa, and the team from Anne's office, thank you so much for making this happen. And of course, to the management and staff of Radisson Blu, a big thank you. And to everybody else I may not have mentioned, let me say, you are recognized, and thank you so much for being on the journey, and we hope to see you again in the coming year as we continue to measure our milestones and our steps. Thank you, enjoy the cake, and enjoy all the other tokens that we have. Have a good morning. Thank you.